Chapter 1803, Godly Wood Clan. Even though the old man didn't mind, Lin Feng did mind and asked Tan Tai to go back to the holy city. Lin Feng had read about the Godly Wood Valley in the Edict Palace. It was an incredible place. The people there were incredibly strong. Lin Feng preferred to go there alone. If he couldn't get the Heavenly Grace Godly Wood, then he'd give up. If he could get it, then that was great. Regarding Tan Tai, Lin Feng didn't want him to take needless risks. In the Edict Palace, Lin Feng had read that the Godly Wood Valley was an ancient valley in the Great Shiny Mountain, a great distance northwest of the holy city. After a week of travel, a boat appeared in the sky above the vast Great Shiny Mountain. Lin Feng was still flying at full speed. The Great Shiny Mountain is just like in the legends, depopulated and scary, thought Lin Feng glancing around. There were rotten trees, orange grass, desolate mountain ranges, no sign of life. Lin Feng glanced around and whispered, "The Great Shiny Mountain is incredibly vast. The Godly Wood Valley will be difficult to find." Suddenly, 3 Lin Feng clones appeared around him. 1 life turns into 1, 2 lives turn into 3, 3 lives. The 10,000 things of creation. Lin Feng turned into 3 shadows, and then 9, but those shadows looked like illusions, not like clones. They had no chi and seemed very fragile. More and more Lin Fengs appeared in the sky and moved in every direction. Lin Feng's real body landed on the ground. He closed his eyes and started sleeping. The 3 live scriptures allow me to have 3 bodies. However, when 1 body turns into 3, the 2 others still belong to your other body. It's impossible to control them independently. It's like a body transformation technique, thought Lin Feng. When he turned into 1,000,000 clones, his clones couldn't fight, but for now it didn't matter. The 1,000,000 clones traveled around in the mountains. Lin Feng saw some people there. One of his clones was in the air above a valley, his eyes twinkling. Then the clone's silhouette flickered and descended into the valley. Lin Feng realized there was a path there. At that moment, his clone slowly walked forwards. A new world appeared before his eyes. A city with a bustling crowd was there. Lin Feng had just followed some people to find that place. Far from the Great Shiny Mountain, the real Lin Feng opened his eyes and flew in that direction. When he arrived above the valley, his millions of clones came back to him and he became one person once again. Lin Feng created another clone. He looked as real as the real Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at his clone and descended from the sky. After a short time, he arrived in the city. Even though there were quite a few people there, that city couldn't be compared to cities in the outside world. It wasn't as crowded, and there weren't as many buildings. However, people there were abnormally strong. On both sides of the road, there were vendors' booths. They sold godly wood. "Your Excellency, how to get godly wood?" asked Lin Feng of one of the vendors. The wood he was selling was red and twinkling. It contained cosmic energies. "A chapter of medium-level ancient imperial scriptures for a stick," the owner said to Lin Feng. Medium-level ancient imperial scriptures. Lin Feng looked surprised and said, "Is that Heavenly Grace Godly Wood? Heavenly Grace Godly Wood?" The owner looked at Lin Feng strangely, smiled, and said, "Your Excellency, it must be your first time in the Godly Wood Valley." Indeed, Lin Feng laughed and nodded at his words. The Heavenly Grace Godly Wood is the internal part of the Heavenly Grace ancient tree. Even if you can find Heavenly Grace Godly Wood, a stick can't be exchanged against medium-level ancient imperial scriptures. It's priceless. The wood we sell is from branches only. Of course, other vendors sell other parts of the Heavenly Grace ancient tree in the city, but the price will be much higher. Concerning the Heavenly Grace Godly Wood, nobody sells it in the Godly Wood Valley. I see. So if someone wants the Heavenly Grace Godly Wood, there's no hope, right? Guessed Lin Feng. The stocks of Heavenly Grace Godly Wood are controlled by the main clan of the Godly Wood Valley. Only their members can use it. If you want to gain some Heavenly Grace Godly Wood, you have to be a member of the Godly Wood clan. But to be honest, with your cultivation level it's impossible, said the merchant. He was even surprised that Lin Feng had found this place. I understand, said Lin Feng politely. I can go to the Godly Wood Valley, right? You can. No problem. One day every month, The valley is open to foreigners. Some people go there to trade. It's a win-win deal. The Godly Wood Valley can't prevent its people from having contacts with the outside world. You came precisely on time. Today is the open day. You're lucky. You can go to the Godly Wood Valley. Lin Feng nodded. He smiled and said, "Can we go together? It would be great if you could show me around." "You seem nice, so why not?" said the vendor agreeably. "You must come from a powerful family. It's an honor for me to know you. Please call me Chong Lin." "All right, Brother Chong Lin. My name is Lin Feng." Lin Feng talked to and got to know that vendor. After a short time, the news spread that the open day was starting. Lin Feng and Chong Lin walked to the edge of the small town and entered a new world, the Godly Wood Valley. In the Godly Wood Valley, there were trees everywhere. There were many different colors in the forest, and courtyards and gardeners everywhere. "Lin Feng, look, those people are grafting the trees in the Godly Wood Valley. Those trees contain cosmic energies. They are not very natural though. They are not made of the cosmic energies of the earth and sky. Only the Godly Wood clan have real sky blue godly wood," said Chong Lin. Many people were in the valley and looking for things they needed. "Brother Chong Lin, some people must also go to the Godly Wood clan, right?" asked Lin Feng. Chong Lin nodded and pointed at a group of dozens of people. They looked extraordinary. "They are going to the Godly Wood clan. They are all extremely strong. Weaklings can't go there. The clan has priceless items, and in order to deal with them, you need to be extremely rich." "Let's go there too," said Lin Feng, and he started that way. Chong Lin frowned and stretched his hand out, but Lin Feng was already out of reach, so he smiled wryly. "What a funny guy. All right, I've never been there, so why not?" The group of people kept moving forwards. After a long time, Lin Feng arrived at an ancient city. Cosmic strength floated in the air and covered the whole city. Lin Feng was astonished and gasped with amazement. "That's the Godly Wood clan, who control the Godly Wood Valley. It's also a holy world. You can find real heavenly grace ancient trees here," said Chong Lin, sensing the chi. He looked at the cosmic energies in admiration. "Let's go," said Lin Feng, and they continued on. However, at that moment, two young men with Godly Wood armors stopped them. "You can't go into the Godly Wood clan's territory." "But these people just did," said Lin Feng, pointing at the group of people. Chong Lin pulled Lin Feng's sleeve as the guard said, "They were invited by the Godly Wood clan. They are allowed in." "Lin Feng, those people must be business partners of the Godly Wood clan. That's why they were invited," said Chong Lin to Lin Feng using telepathy. "Let's leave. We've brought many great things. We can also be considered as guests, I guess," said Lin Feng, taking out weapons which floated in the air in front of the two guards, radiating oppressive energies. The guards glanced at each other and one said, "Since you came to trade, come with me. The first time, someone must lead the way." "Thank you," said Lin Feng, putting his treasures away. Then he rose up into the air with the two guards. Chong Lin looked at Lin Feng strangely and followed along. Lin Feng had come prepared. Lin Feng sensed the cosmic energies all around him and sighed. The Godly Wood clan was incredible. Their territory was covered by cosmic energies created by the earth and sky. The guard took Lin Feng and Chong Lin to a palace. There were other people there who looked at Lin Feng strangely. They didn't know these two new people, but they didn't care. The Godly Wood clan could deal with them if necessary. Chapter 1804. At the foot of the tree at that moment, someone came out of the palace. The crowd walked forwards, one of them smiling and asking, "Mr. Liu, why is it so calm today?" "Sorry, everyone. We have some guests. The young masters are all there attending a banquet. They didn't have time to come. They told me they didn't have time to take care of you, but you can all come and attend the banquet," said Mr. Liu, smiling politely. He was in charge of the business operations of the clan. The Godly Wood clan does have close relations with groups of the outside world. Groups like Tantai's tribe are very rare, thought Lin Feng, as the group followed Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu noticed Lin Feng and Chong Lin. He slowed down and smiled at them. "I don't know you, it must your first time here." "Indeed, it's our first time. My friend brought some precious treasures. He wants to trade with the clan," replied Chong Lin. Mr. Liu said nothing. Very quickly, They climbed up the stairs and arrived in the room where the banquet was taking place. Lin Feng glanced around. The people there were very young, chatting, laughing and having fun. "Brother Ji, you shine with splendor. Everybody admires you, including me. Come cheers," said an imposing young man to another young man who was wearing a cyan robe. They raised their glasses and laughed. "Ji Chang," whispered Lin Feng, frowning. The young man who was drinking was surprisingly the champion of Champion University, Ji Chang. Ji Chang suddenly turned around and looked at Lin Feng coolly. "Who are you?" Ji Chang asked Lin Feng. He rarely went to Champion University these days, traveling and practicing cultivation a lot. He didn't know who Lin Feng was. "A student of Champion University," said Lin Feng, his facial expression not changing. He still looked calm and composed. Ji Chang nodded once. Since Lin Feng was a student from Champion University, they could be friends, he asked. "Are you hiding your cultivation level?" "Kind of," replied Lin Feng, releasing cosmic energies. Ji Chang was surprised and said, "What a powerful technique. I can't even see through it." Lin Feng laughed but said nothing. He looked at the other people. They all looked extraordinary. The young man with whom Ji Chang was talking was probably from the Godlywood clan. At that moment, a young man stood up and smiled at Lin Feng and the others. "Welcome to the Godlywood clan, everyone. Please join us." That person seemed polite. Chang Lin and Lin Feng sat down next to one another. Chang Lin pulled Lin Feng's sleeve and said, "Dude, you're from Champion University and you're hiding your cultivation level. I feel stupid. I've heard of Ji Chang. He's a genius from Champion University, and even he couldn't see through it." "So what?" "He's sitting in a good place, I am on the ground," replied Lin Feng. Chang Lin laughed and replied, "You're insane." Lin Feng laughed back, but said nothing. He listened to Ji Chang and the others. Ji Chang had already spent a few days there. He had met some young people from the Godlywood clan while traveling and made friends with them. All the young men there were heroic. "I've heard that the Godlywood clan grows the Heavenly Grace ancient trees for 10,000 years. Is it possible to see them?" asked a young man just under Ji Chang. Many people shivered. Few people had ever seen real Heavenly Grace ancient trees. "Right, I want to see a real Heavenly Grace ancient tree too," said Ji Chang. The young men of the Godlywood clan glanced at one another. "Brother, since Ji Chang and the others want to see the trees, we can show them," said a beautiful woman of the Godlywood clan. She was the princess of the clan and talking to her older brother, Shen Muqi. Shen Muqi nodded agreeably and said, "Since Brother Ji and Brother Yen want to see the trees, why not? I cannot refuse. Please stand up, everyone." "Thank you very much, Brother Shenmu and Brother Shenmu's sister," answered Yen Ping, smiling broadly. Ji Chang and the others stood up. They wanted to see the Heavenly Grace ancient tree, and they also wanted to get their hands on some Heavenly Grace godly wood. "Come with me, everyone," said Shenmu Qi, pointing at Shenmu Yun who was going to lead the way. Chang Lin and many other people remained seated though. Only Lin Feng suddenly stood up and followed. The young man turned around and smiled at Lin Feng. "Your Excellency, please stay here and have a few drinks. We'll have the opportunity to chat when I come back. Your humble servant Lin Feng would like to see the Heavenly Grace ancient tree too," said Lin Feng. He perfectly understood what the young man meant, but since Ji Chang and the others had asked first, Lin Feng couldn't miss that opportunity. At least, he wanted to see where the tree was. "I don't like making guests feel awkward," said Shen Muyun politely. He sounded nice, but posh. Lin Feng could also see that those people considered people like Ji Chang as equals. "The Godlywood clan controls a world. I came here because I admire you and your clan. I would be disappointed if I couldn't see certain things, especially if others could. It would be unfair," Lin Feng replied easily. Shen Muyun's eyes twinkled coldly, but Shen Muqi intervened calmly. "Since you really want to see it, then go." Shen Muyun looked at Lin Feng coolly, but turned around and continued walking. Ji Chang hadn't turned around at all. He didn't care about this matter. The others looked at Lin Feng in amusement. "What a guy, he dares follow them," thought Chang Lin. He was stunned. Lin Feng was audacious. He was not afraid of offending the Godlywood clan. He had insisted on going and seeing the Heavenly Grace ancient trees. but he looked at Lin Feng with admiration, nonetheless. After all, Chang Lin had been in the Godlywood Valley for a very long time, and he had never seen a heavenly grace ancient tree. The distance between the palace where the banquet was taking place and the field with the trees was important. They arrived at a thick and dense forest, controlled by the Godlywood clan for the incredible heavenly grace ancient trees there. When Lin Feng arrived at the forest, he sensed the qi surrounding his body and shook. This forest was protected by some incredibly strong guardians. It was impossible to steal trees here. There are heavenly grace ancient trees here, but I don't know where the usable trees are, said Shinmu-chi with a smile. Ji Chang's eyes sparked like lightning. I've heard that the heavenly grace ancient trees are alive and can even switch locations. It seems that even extremely strong cultivators can't necessarily kidnap them. This place is so vast, finding a mature tree mustn't be easy. Then, Ji Chang's figure blurred into the wind and disappeared. The place was extremely vast, but the Godlywood clan had fenced in the territory. There was only one exit. The young men of the Godlywood clan trusted Ji Chang and the others. Besides, even if they found usable heavenly grace ancient trees, they couldn't necessarily use them. The others started walking. Lin Feng didn't move. Shen Muyun looked at him and said, "Why don't you go and look for a tree?" "I'm going now," said Lin Feng. Suddenly, a clone appeared and moved in a different direction. Shen Muyun frowned. This guy could duplicate himself? While moving, Lin Feng's clones continued multiplying and moving in every direction, looking for a mature tree. Very soon, Lin Feng found a gigantic tree containing terrifying cosmic energies. Lin Feng stood at the bottom of the tree and took a deep breath. He could sense the cosmic energies of the earth and sky. Heavenly grace ancient tree, the child of the earth and sky. It's not mature yet, but it has such an incredible qi. This is the grace of heaven. If it were mature, its cosmic energies would be incredibly strong, murmured Lin Feng. Even in that incredibly dense forest, there weren't many heavenly grace ancient trees. They were extremely rare. Lin Feng had only located a few of them. According to legends, the first Buddha achieved enlightenment at the foot of a Bodhi tree. That's where he became a Buddha. I wonder if I can make my energies turn into cosmic energies at the foot of this tree, whispered Lin Feng, then walked closer to the tree and sat down cross-legged. He started meditating. Lin Feng's millions of clones also started meditating at the foot of other trees. It didn't matter whether they were mature or not. He had never sensed such powerful cosmic energies. Chapter 1805. Heavenly Grace. Even though his clones didn't have strength, they could still practice cultivation and meditate. In that forest, there were Lin Feng clones everywhere. Lin Feng's real body walked in the air and glanced around. The Godlywood clan was very powerful. Their ancestors had created a real world here and sealed it off. It was their personal property. Many extremely strong cultivators appeared all the time in their clan. Few outsiders dared offend them. At that moment, Lin Feng stopped in the air and gazed into the distance. Ji Chang was in front of a gigantic heavenly grace ancient tree. His hands were at his back and he seemed to be talking to the tree. The heavenly grace ancient tree seemed to be swallowing some strange lights. Cosmic strength kept rising to the skies. The heavenly grace ancient tree were famous because they contained the cosmic energies of the 10,000 things of creation, the energy of creation. That heavenly grace ancient tree must be so old. I wonder whether it's mature or not, muttered Lin Feng. Even though he was in the air, Ji Chang didn't look at him. He just looked calm and composed. He was talking to the tree. At that moment, some sounds spread out in the air, but they weren't distinct. They sounded like Ji Chang's voice, however. I've heard that many champions usually come here before becoming celestial emperors, and after achieving enlightenment, they usually come back. Which tree can help me become a champion here? Whispered Ji Chang, as if nobody were next to him. Lin Feng was surprised. Champions came to the Godlywood Valley? Besides, according to Ji Chang, champions came to study the cosmic energies of the trees to become celestial emperors? Suddenly, Ji Chang rose up into the air, his eyes bestial and sharp. He glanced at Lin Feng, and Lin Feng suddenly had the sensation he couldn't move anymore. His heart started pounding. Ji Chang was the strongest young man of Champion University among people who weren't celestial emperors. Dazzling lights surrounded him. He was really terrifying. At that moment, Ji Chang's eyes were glowing blue. He was looking at some red lights. He jumped and landed on the ground, making it shake violently. Rumbling sounds spread through the air. Dragons appeared, blotting out the sky as they roared. Suddenly, redwood appeared and rose into the skies as fast as lightning. "Where are you going?" asked Ji Chang, waving his hands. Dragons appeared and surrounded the red lights. Subtle sounds spread in the air. The cyan dragons he brought out almost broke apart. The entire tree suddenly rose up in the air. Ji Chang was startled and jumped up, chasing after the redwood. "Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree?" Lin Feng frowned. Was that redwood a Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree? Why was it so small? Lin Feng took out his boat and chased after the Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree. Ji Chang wanted to steal the redwood. Were the rumors in the outside world not true? Ji Chang wanted to steal a tree. That place was protected by strong cultivators. Nobody prevented Ji Chang from stealing a tree. Did it mean that the strong cultivators accepted letting him steal a tree, or did it mean that they had confidence in the strength of those trees? Lin Feng chased the Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree and realized that it was too fast. It had turned into a distant beam of red light already. However, at that moment, more dazzling red lights appeared as thunder rumbled, and many people looked over there. "Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree." Lin Feng frowned and saw the redwood turn into a strange ancient tree. It was gigantic and looked extremely old. It crashed onto the ground, its roots burrowing down to hold it in place. Vast cosmic energies rose to the skies. At that moment, at the top of a hill, an old man suddenly opened his eyes and gazed into the distance, looking at the Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree. "Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree, another powerful one," murmured the old man. Outsiders thought that they were there to protect the trees, but actually, they were just guards. Even for the Godlywood clan, it wasn't easy to obtain real Heavenly Grace Ancient Trees. Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree referred to two things: the actual body of the tree, which was a child of the earth and sky, and the Heavenly Grace which could bless people. In that way, the cultivator could become the owner of a tree. Heavenly Grace Ancient Trees had souls. They were alive. They didn't like being controlled, even by the members of the Godlywood Valley. Only blessed people could obtain Heavenly Grace Ancient Trees. At that moment, Lin Feng landed in front of a Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree. It was gigantic, so big that it made him shiver. Even if Lin Feng were a high-level emperor and released 10 sorts of cosmic energies, they wouldn't have been as powerful as the Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree's cosmic energies. That tree was mature, a true king of trees. At that moment, a terrifying pressure suddenly descended from the sky. A gigantic silhouette appeared and said, "My clan, the Godlywood clan, protects the Heavenly Grace Ancient Trees. Same old rules. People who manage to take away a Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree King can keep them for 100 years. A century from now, please bring them back for future generations to benefit from them." Everybody heard that voice and shook inside. The Godlywood clan are the protectors of the Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree in the Dark Night region? Lin Feng was also intrigued. They were so mysterious. Even in the Edict Palace, he hadn't heard that. People from the outside world didn't understand the Godlywood clan that well. Maybe that the old man of Tantai's tribe knew that, which was why he had said Tantai could go with him. Lin Feng had thought too much. He had made Tantai leave. People who managed to take a tree could keep it for 100 years, and then they had to bring it back. People who could take a tree were already incredibly strong, and the trees were astonishingly strong. However, 100 years was a long time. In the Dark Night region, nobody comes to the Godlywood Valley to steal trees. There's something mysterious about that, Lin Feng thought. The Godlywood clan didn't own the trees. They were just there to protect them. If someone was talented enough to take a tree away, then they could take them away and keep them for 100 years, allowing every generation to benefit from them. The silhouette in the sky disappeared. Ji Chang and the others looked at that Heavenly Grace Ancient Tree. He shook his hands and dragons roared furiously. They surrounded the sturdy tree and the atmosphere shook as thunder rumbled. The earth kept shaking. However, the heavenly grace ancient tree didn't move. The dragons are extremely powerful, but nothing is happening, thought the crowd. They were amazed and their hearts were racing. Ji Chang had made the tree appear, but the tree refused to accept him as its owner. As the ancestor said, "You can't force a tree to come with you," whispered Ji Chang. He then jumped forwards and sat down cross-legged at the foot of the tree. He looked at the heavenly grace ancient tree and released several types of cosmic energies. Several sorts of cosmic energies, Lin Feng mused, watching Ji Chang. The other was displaying his prowess. He wanted the tree to submit. At Ji Chang's back, a dazzling cyan dragon appeared, and several cyan dragon totems appeared as well, while 9 cyan dragons appeared and chanted. They were much more powerful than Ji Weio's cyan dragons. Suddenly, another illusion appeared behind Ji Chang. It was a dragon king. Ji Chang really wanted to become a champion and he needed help, so he wanted the heavenly grace ancient tree to acknowledge him. Chapter 1806. Chosen by the godly wood. Red lights twinkled, terrifying cosmic energies rose to the skies and blotted out the sun. The crowd saw intertwining red vines among them. Those were probably the viscera of the heavenly grace ancient tree. According to legends, the red godly wood contained an infinite amount of blood. The one the godly wood will choose must be like your ancestors. I want you to stay with me and someday I'll become an emperor. I won't disappoint you, said Ji Chang, slowly rising up into the air. 9 dazzling dragons appeared, lights shone out and surrounded the tree. As expected, when the tree heard Ji Chang, it became even more dazzling. It could understand Ji Chang. At that moment, those watching saw a silhouette appear under the heavenly grace ancient tree. That person looked like an ancient great emperor. He was walking next to the tree, in symbiosis with it. Suddenly, the strong cultivator stretched his hands out and embers appeared, the flames glittered. He exhaled and the embers flew away from his hands and turned into dazzling lights which moved towards the distant mountain ranges. The small embers rose to the skies before descending and turning into real fire mountains. They looked like true ancient mountains. Eternal strength, whispered Ji Chang after he saw the illusion. Lin Feng and the others shivered too. What a terrifying strength. They all swallowed. That fire was eternal and had turned into a mountain. Ancient kings had their own path. I will have my own path too. I will become a powerful ancient cultivator someday. I won't be a disgrace to the godly wood, said Ji Chang confidently. He had the soul of a champion. The illusion disappeared. The heavenly grace godly wood has its own life, thought Lin Feng, amazed. Ji Chang was determined and strong. He really had the potential to become an incredible cultivator. He was never satisfied, always wanting to become stronger and stronger. Without the will to become stronger, a cultivator was destined for failure. Thunder rumbled. The heavenly grace ancient tree rose up, the red lights continued blotting out the sky. Suddenly, the tree turned into a bleeding godly wood. The crowd frowned. Had the tree chosen and acknowledged Ji Chang? The crowd was shivering with excitement. Ji Chang had managed to make the tree submit? Was he going to obtain the tree? At the top of the mountain, the old man looked at that display and sighed. It's the 3rd time in 10 years that a tree chose someone. People are really strong these days. The young people of the godly wood clan can't compete with them. How many new kings will appear in the next 100 years? Many people were jealous of the godly wood clan's people because they had the privilege of guarding the forest. Many times, the situation had almost deteriorated. However, the strong and powerful clans didn't attack them because anyone could go there, and if the trees acknowledged people, then they could leave with them. Therefore, letting the godly wood clan guard the forest wasn't a problem. The heavenly grace godly wood was floating above Ji Chang. The blood-red lights condensed, and at that moment, blood appeared and a drop fell down onto Ji Chang's head and penetrated into his body. Suddenly, Ji Chang's cosmic energies became much more powerful. He looked eternal. You will follow me for 100 years now, Ji Chang said proudly. Suddenly, the red godly wood started whistling and penetrated into Ji Chang's body. It acknowledged him, thought the crowd in astonishment. They began walking up to him and smiled. Congratulations, Brother Ji Chang. The godly wood acknowledged you. The gods protect you. You will definitely become a king. Brother Ji Chang, you're amazing. Congratulations. You'll soon become a champion. Ji Chang looked aloof and composed. It was a big step for him. Soon, he'd become a champion. He suddenly remembered back then when Ing Cheng had become a champion. Ing Cheng, wait for me. Ling Tian is gone, now I'm your new opponent, said Ji Chang sharply, clenching his fist. Qi filled the air. The old man reappeared in the sky. Ji Chang, shouted the old man. Ji Chang raised his head and said, What is it, master? You can keep the tree for 100 years, and in 100 years you must bring it back. Besides, the heavenly grace ancient tree only has 100 drops of blood. A drop of blood is extremely valuable. When you bring the tree back, it will need 100 years to recover. Remember, it's a priceless creature. The old man said to Ji Chang. Ji Chang nodded obediently and promised, I'll bring the tree back in 100 years. Very good, nodded the old man. He wasn't worried about that. People acknowledged by trees were incredible and benefited a lot from the time they spent with trees. They were also very determined. They didn't try to steal the trees forever. Since the tree already chose an owner, Shenmu Qi, bring everyone back, said the old man. The crowd was stupefied. Master, said Lin Feng suddenly. The old man looked at Lin Feng strangely and said, What do you want? Ji Chang has his own tree, but I haven't tried yet. I hope you can give us more for time to try, said Lin Feng to the old man. The old man was surprised. People who try to find a tree here are usually high-level emperors or higher, or at least, they must be at the top of the medium Huangqi layer. However, even though you seem to be a cultivator of the top of the Zunqi layer, it seems that you're hiding your cultivation level. You must have studied some strange and mysterious techniques. Show me your cultivation level. Low-level emperor, said Lin Feng. Then he released his cosmic energies. The old man frowned. You can control 10 sorts of cosmic energies? Impressive. Chapter 1807. Nobody knows what awaits them, but who can't recognize a monarch? Lin Feng used his boat to chase the tree, light following lightning. At the same time, he kept releasing the strength of his spirit world. He wanted to imprison the tree inside. If he managed to catch up with the tree, he'd be able to capture it. Lin Feng didn't have time to be acknowledged by the tree, he wanted to kidnap it. However, Lin Feng hadn't anticipated that the tree would be so sensitive and would escape. The boat was amazingly fast. However, it couldn't catch up with the heavenly grace ancient tree. The tree was behaving strangely, moving in an enigmatic manner. Lin Feng was startled. As Lin Feng was chasing the tree, he realized that the trees on the ground had gone still. There was no cosmic energy anywhere anymore. At that moment, the old man sensed something strange. What was going on in the forest? The heavenly grace ancient tree can't acknowledge him, muttered the old man, and then closed his eyes again. Lin Feng was a low-level emperor, he couldn't be acknowledged by a heavenly grace ancient tree. Such a thing had never happened in the Godly Wood Valley. Lin Feng was annoyed and stared after the heavenly grace ancient tree. It didn't want to acknowledge him. Was there anything he could do to kidnap the tree? It seemed there was no hope. There were guards. Only incredible geniuses could be acknowledged by the heavenly grace ancient trees, and the guards probably paid attention to that. Otherwise, why would there have been guards? As Lin Feng was thinking, a mighty qi rose up in the air, and the ground shook violently. Lin Feng frowned. It's there. Lin Feng stopped and turned around. He looked at the place he had passed by. Another tree was breaking through the soil. Lin Feng's boat suddenly turned around and moved in that direction. The whole forest started shaking violently. At that moment, more terrifying cosmic energies rose up in the air. Lin Feng felt them and sensed some demonic cosmic energy. Of course, he recognized that energy. Boom! The gigantic tree broke through the soil and appeared in front of Lin Feng. It was much more ancient and majestic than the tree Ji Chang had obtained, truly a tree king. Its qi was unruly, obstinate, and powerful. All the 10,000 things of creation submitted to such a creature. Lin Feng was astonished. Suddenly, he jumped off his boat and walked up to the tree. The tree didn't act in a hostile way. Quite to the contrary, It looked friendly, as if it wanted to make friends with Lin Feng. At the top of the mountain, the old man suddenly opened his eyes again. Rumbling sounds spread in the air, and above Lin Feng, the old man appeared once again and stared at the heavenly grace ancient tree. How is that possible? Wondered the old man. Why had this heavenly grace ancient tree shown up? He could remember the last time it had acknowledged someone. Since that person had brought the tree back after 100 years, it hadn't acknowledged anyone else, apparently abandoning all cultivators and refusing to acknowledge people. Many people had tried, but they had all failed in the last 1,000 years. That tree king had abandoned kings and champions. But now, it had reappeared. It had voluntarily shown up in front of Lin Feng. Where does that young man come from? Surprisingly, the tree wants to get to know him. Does the tree really want to acknowledge him? The old man was staring at Lin Feng. Ji Chang had obtained a tree, that was no surprise. However, at that moment he was stunned. If Lin Feng had taken a tree, that would have been quite surprising already, but if he managed to take this tree, that would be absolutely astonishing, because he had seen so many people fail with this tree. Lin Feng looked at the heavenly grace ancient tree calmly. He didn't release a powerful chi like Ji Chang, he just looked at the tree as if he were looking at an old friend. You want to come with me? Lin Feng asked the heavenly grace ancient tree calmly. The tree turned into an illusion, and a silhouette appeared under it, his hands behind his back, looking arrogant and proud. It's him! Lin Feng frowned. He had already seen that silhouette in the Netherworld Demon Emperor's small world, and of course, he had also heard many rumors about him. Now, he was right here in front of him. It was as if there was a connection between Lin Feng and this person. This person was the Demon Emperor. In the small world, before he had broken through to the Huangqi layer, he could kill emperors. 1,000 years had passed since he used to be the strongest, the Demon Emperor. Lin Feng admired the Demon Emperor. As a Zun cultivator, he could also kill emperors, just as incredible an achievement. At that moment, the Demon Emperor suddenly stretched his hand out to the tree, and the tree became even darker. An imprint appeared, as if it had existed on the tree forever. Nobody knows what awaits them, but who can't recognize a monarch? The instant that sentence appeared on the tree, Lin Feng's heart started pounding. What was going on? The world was big, the continent of the 9 clouds was gigantic. There were also trillions and trillions of people, but such things were rare. Even the old man's heart was pounding. He had seen many, many geniuses in his life, and he had been a guardian for 2,000 years. He had seen too many geniuses, and so many of the so-called champions, but he had never seen such a thing. Lin Feng slowly walked up to the tree, and the tree didn't escape. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and caressed the tree. He touched the words, they looked eternal. Nobody knows what awaits them, but who can't recognize a monarch? He caressed the words as he repeated them, then moved back and looked at the tree again, smiling calmly. Come with me, I won't disappoint you. In 100 years, I'll be the king in the region. In 100 years, I'll be the king in the region. The old man shivered and stared at Lin Feng. Lin Feng and Ji Chang were different. Ji Chang had released a grandiose display. He was already walking on the path of a champion. Lin Feng's chi was different. He was smiling and looked friendly and gentle, but he was saying that he'd become a champion within 100 years. The only common point they had was their self-confidence. They were sure they would become peerless cultivators someday. The heavenly grace ancient tree kept shaking. Terrifying rumbling sounds spread in the air. The gigantic tree started shining as it turned into a black stick, a rare wooden stick. Nobody managed to control that tree in 1,000 years, and now it's really going to acknowledge that young man? Thought the old man. His heart was pounding. The tree was above Lin Feng's head. A black drop fell from the tree onto Lin Feng and penetrated into his body. It looked like blood, before the tree flew into Lin Feng's body. It acknowledged him. The old man frowned. He was astonished. The tree hadn't acknowledged anyone for 1,000 years, and now it acknowledged this young man. Lin Feng smiled calmly. He had succeeded, and obtained a heavenly grace godly wood. Now, he would be able to cure Emperor Wu Tianjian's injury, and on top of that, the tree would be very beneficial to him. Young man, said a voice at that moment. Lin Feng raised his head and smiled at the old man. Master, thank you very much. You only relied on yourself, I didn't do anything, smiled the old man calmly. Tell me your name and where you come from. My name is Lin Feng and I'm a student at Champion University in the Holy City, said Lin Feng politely. Your clan? Asked the old man again. I come from a small world. I didn't know about the great world before. And regarding my clan, Lin Feng just smiled. He didn't need to say much, the old man already understood. He didn't come from a strong clan. A small world, you didn't even know about the great world, whispered the old man. Then he smiled and said, Go and remember to come back in 100 years. Thank you, master, said Lin Feng, bowing to the old man before departing. The old man stared at Lin Feng and smiled. Champion University, Lin Feng, I'll remember your promise. In 100 years, you'll be a king. Chapter 1808. Getting ready to go back in the banquet at the palace, people were drinking and laughing. Ji Chang was at the center of attention. Brother Ji Chang, a tree acknowledged you. You'll soon become a champion. When you become a champion, I'll come and see you. You're amazing, flattering Shenmu Qi, raising his glass and smiling at Ji Chang. I'd be very happy if you did, replied Ji Chang, smiling politely. I'll come too. I wish you much success, Brother Ji Chang, said a woman laughing and raising her glass. The crowd was having fun. At that moment, the crowd was overflowing with amazement. Ji Chang was a proud student at Champion University in the Holy City. He had obtained Heavenly Grace Godly Wood and would definitely become much stronger within a short time. Someone is coming. A few silhouettes had appeared. They looked dispirited. Shenmu Yun smiled. Brothers, did you obtain anything? I didn't. None of the Heavenly Grace ancient trees acknowledged me. I need to become stronger and then I'll come back and try again, said one of them indifferently. Shenmu Qi nodded and said, Please come back then. I'll lead the way. I'm sure a tree will acknowledge you sooner or later. Thank you very much, Brother Shenmu, said the few cultivators nodding. Shenmu Yun asked, Has that guy come out? Oh, we saw him chase a tree with a boat. We don't know where he is now, replied one of them. The crowd smiled indifferently at the news, their focus on other things. He overestimated himself, whispered some people indifferently. They didn't despise weak cultivators, but Lin Feng had overestimated himself. He had thought a Heavenly Grace Godly tree would acknowledge him even though he only had the strength of a low-level emperor. Such a thing had never happened. Chang Lin looked embarrassed and whispered, Poor Lin Feng, he thought he could obtain a Heavenly Grace Godly tree, he was dreaming. He shook his head as the people continued having fun and drinking. Someone else soon arrived. People raised their heads and looked at them. It was Lin Feng. They all looked amused that he had finally come back. When Lin Feng saw that everyone was staring at him, he understood. Many people wanted to make fun of him, but he didn't feel like explaining anything. He immediately went to Chang Lin and smiled. Brother Chang Lin, I have things to do. I'm off. Are you leaving? Asked Chang Lin surprised. Lin Feng had brought so many good things to trade and now he wanted to leave. He understood that Lin Feng felt awkward though, so he could understand why he wanted to leave. Brother Lin Feng, will meet again, said Chang Lin nodding and smiling. Lin Feng looked at the crowd and said, Everybody, I'm off. Lin Feng then left as quickly as he could. He had already obtained a tree, so he had nothing to do there anymore. The crowd watched him go strangely. Of course, Lin Feng was just a guest there, they would quickly forget him. Lin Feng sat in his boat as he left the Godly Wood Valley. Nobody prevented him from leaving. He backed out to the great shiny mountain as his clone disappeared. It had been a great trip. Thanks to the nice old man who had allowed him to stay a little longer, he had obtained a tree. Lin Feng didn't leave the great shiny mountain immediately, however. He was looking for a hidden cave. An ancient pitch-black tree appeared indistinctly. Several kinds of cosmic energies condensed. The whole cave was filled with cosmic energies. However, Lin Feng was annoyed. The Heavenly Grace ancient tree was a child of the earth and sky. Even though the demon emperor used to control that tree, its cosmic energies were still the cosmic energies of the earth and sky, and Lin Feng's cosmic energies were different. In the real world, Lin Feng had to rely on his own cosmic energies. He could use cosmic energies in the outside world to practice cultivation, but he couldn't use them to fight. Understanding cosmic energies and using them were different things. As long as it has all sorts of cosmic energies, it's beneficial for me. It is connected to all things. In the world of his spirit, Lin Feng made the tree appear, and suddenly powerful cosmic energies rose to the skies. The cosmic energies of the 10,000 things of creations of the real world penetrated into his own world. Lin Feng was seated cross-legged at the foot of the tree and studying its cosmic energies. 2 months later, terrifying cosmic energies rose to the skies from the cave. They were very thick and overflowing. If there had been people near enough to see, they would have noticed him from quite far away, and have easily sensed the energies. Lin Feng came out of the cave. His boat appeared again, and he jumped into it. He was ready to leave the great shiny mountain. In the holy city, in Champion University, during those few months, Tian Tai continued becoming stronger. Jing Shou and Yun Qingyan had continued recruiting people. At the same time, Ho Qinglin took people out to travel and practice cultivation. Tian Tai didn't mind whether their new members were old or new students in Champion University, but they had to adhere to Tian Tai's philosophy. There couldn't be rivalries between the members, or they ran the risk of being expelled. Of course, becoming a core member of Tian Tai was extremely difficult. They had to take an exam. Many strong cultivators noticed that Tian Tai was rising. Lin Feng had told the Moon Group that within 3 years, he'd challenge them. 3 years was so short, even very talented low-level emperors couldn't become medium-level emperors within 3 years, but Tian Tai had said they'd challenge the Moon Group. Ji Chang's club's star group kept declining. Ji Wuyo and Yu Wenjing were practicing cultivation really hard, and rarely showed up. Ji Wuyo couldn't accept his defeat, and was going insane. He wanted to become extremely strong and fight against Lin Feng again. The next time he fought against Lin Feng, they might be on the medium ranking list. Everybody knew that Lin Feng and Ji Wuyo now had the strength of the medium ranking list, but they just hadn't thought about going up against those people. 2 people appeared in Champion University and headed straight to Tian Tai. "That's Lin Feng, but who's that?" asked Yun Qingyan when she saw a young man walking next to Lin Feng. He looked extremely strong and noble. That person couldn't be from Champion University, otherwise, she would have recognized him. Jun Mo Shi, from King of Hell Palace, introduced Lin Feng. Yun Qingyan was astonished, her beautiful eyes twinkled as she smiled at Jun Mo Shi. "You're Jun Mo Shi, the Prince of Hell." "That's me." Jun Mo Shi smiled back and nodded at Yun Qingyan. He appeared quite friendly and easygoing. "This is Yun Qingyan," Lin Feng said to Jun Mo Shi. At that moment, many people came out. "Jun Mo Shi, what are you doing here?" asked Huang Fulong, smiling at Jun Mo Shi. Ho Qinglin and Tian Qi also came out. They were surprised Jun Mo Shi had come. "I asked Jun Mo Shi to come." "I need to talk to you all," said Lin Feng to Ho Qinglin and Tian Qi. "Brothers, I need to go back." "Go back." Ho Qinglin and Tian Qi's eyes lit up. However, they looked pensive. Tian Tai wasn't weak. They would have no problem in the small world, but the 9 great celestial castles' leaders were high-level emperors. They couldn't possibly defeat them. "Brothers, the only group which can pose a threat to us is Qingdi Mountain," said Lin Feng. "We can consider the journey as a cultivation challenge. Also, our world should be at peace." "All right, let's go back," said Ho Qinglin. Besides, they wanted to find their teachers. Lin Feng had told them their friends were in Yaoyi Island. They could finally go and see them. "I agree too," said Tian Qi with a nod. Lin Feng smiled. "Since you agree, let's choose some people from Tian Tai to come with us. The others can stay with Qing Yan and Jing Shou." Chapter 1809. Memories. Lin Feng called some members of Tian Tai over very quickly. Ho Qinglin, Tian Qi, Jun Mo Shi, and he was sure to go back. Huang Fulong wasn't interested in going back to the small world. He preferred staying in the great world and practicing cultivation with the other members of Tian Tai. Qing Feng and Wu wanted to travel with Lin Feng and the others. Swan wanted to stay there. Tan Tai and Qin Wu also wanted to follow Lin Feng. Yun Qingyan wanted to follow Lin Feng, but he refused because she had to stay there to manage Tiantai. Besides, she was a medium-level emperor and had a particular social status, so she could solve many problems. Shi Men Xiao, Xiaoming, and Yi Ji could help her. Jing Shou could take people away to practice cultivation. At the same time, he could choose suitable people and teach them things. After all, Champion University's students weren't ordinary, and not all of them wanted to become assassins. They were all free to choose their own path. So 8 people, Lin Feng, Ho Qing Lin, Tian Qi, Junimo Shi, Qing Feng, Wu, Tan Tai and Qin Wu, got ready to travel. Lin Feng and the others left quickly, not wanting to waste time. After all, 3 years from now they had to fight against the Moon Group. That wasn't something insignificant. They had to become really, really strong, and they also had to remain good fighters. The Moon Group didn't cause any trouble and gave them time. The members of the Moon Group wouldn't waste their time on silly things either. After leaving Champion University, the group of people sat in Lin Feng's boat. However, there were 9 silhouettes in the boat, as Lin Feng had released a clone too. Lin Feng's clone was driving the boat and Lin Feng's real body was sleeping. He was in his spirit world, not wasting time. The others didn't waste time either, their eyes closed in meditation. Sometimes, they opened their eyes when they were tired, so they could enjoy the landscapes. For the people of Goldfire City, the Holy City was another world, with different people and different things. They were proud of their Goldfire Tower. The Goldfire City was a town for weapon crafters. There were weapon-making clans everywhere, and people admired them, especially people who were from the northern part of the city. The Mu clan had already surpassed the Yen clan and had become the strongest weapon manufacturing clan. There were many talented young people there, including Mu Lin Shui. Mu Lin Shui had already broken through to the Huangqi layer and become a core disciple at the Goldfire Tower. Everybody admired her. Back then, the teachers had recruited disciples, and the old man who had recruited her as a disciple was a celestial emperor. Even the leader of the Goldfire Tower addressed him respectfully. It seemed that the old man came from vast celestial ancient city. Such cultivators were considered extremely strong in the Goldfire City. When people heard that such a cultivator had recruited her as a disciple, they were astounded. Even her clan benefited from such things. Mu Lin Shui and Mu Yi had particular positions in their clan now. Things had changed a lot for them. Mu Qingying was living a happy life. She had gotten married to a young man from the Sima clan, a clan from the eastern part of the city. Sima Nan initially wanted to marry Mu Lin Shui, but she had refused. Then Mu Qingying had expressed her interest, so now they were married, and they made weapons together. At that moment, Sima Nan and Mu Qingying were outside of the Goldfire Tower, where they were in charge of the competition. The competition was different from when Lin Feng was there. Yen Feng and others had competed to manage the competition, but the teachers had chosen Sima Nan. Qingying, the competition is fun. Look, 2 people have already made an imperial weapon. They're already level 1 professors, that's rare, said Sima Nan, pointing out a group and smiling. Indeed, not bad. But they're much weaker than you back then, said Mu Qingying with a smile. She could remember the competition back then, she could remember how arrogant she used to be. When she thought of that, she had the impression she had been ridiculous. She also remembered that bastard, the perverted guy with whom she had collaborated. What a humiliation. But now she had changed, and she also understood that back then Lin Feng didn't have time to explain anything to her. He had never needed to prove anything to her. Sima Nan remembered that competition too. He took a deep breath and said, back then, Yen Feng was also talented. His imperial weapons were great. He also broke through to the Huangqi layer shortly afterwards. Unfortunately, he had to face Lin Feng, otherwise, Yen Feng would have been the champion. Lin Feng could kill emperors with the strength of the Zunqi layer. And now, Henshang Tian and Guqing Feng all became much stronger. I wonder how strong Lin Feng has become. Let's hope he didn't become stronger than you, said Mu Qingying, laughing. That guy was cruel, but in Goldfire City, even 4-5-year-old children knew about Lin Feng's story. Mu Qingying didn't know that Lin Feng was in the crowd. He could see Qingying and Sima Nan. Surprisingly, they had gotten married. Lin Feng was surprised, but happy for them. Even though Mu Qingying had changed, she still had a bad temper. That weapon crafter is strange. Apart from controlling a weapon manufacturing technique, he can also understand deployment spells. How complex, Tantai said to Lin Feng. By the way, Lin Feng, your deployment spells are incredible. Can you make weapons too? Back then, I participated in this very competition. I ranked first, I was the champion, replied Lin Feng with a laugh. Tantai's eyes twinkled, he said cheerfully, awesome, you'll help me learn about weapons then. With your physical strength, you don't need imperial weapons, and concerning great imperial weapons, if you want some, you need to go and steal them from rich kids, shot back Lin Feng jokingly. Lin Feng, you said you wanted to go and see your friend, is she in Goldfire Tower? Qin Wu asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng nodded, indeed she's here. It's good that we had to cross Goldfire City, so I can keep my promise. Qin Ying, the competition is over, Si Manan said, standing up. At the same time, Mu Qingying heard the name Lin Feng. She glanced around, looking at the crowd, and started shaking. It was him. Lin Feng. Si Manan chose 3 people. They had the possibility to enter the Goldfire Tower. The crowd burst into applause. However, it was as if Mu Qingying hadn't heard anything at all. She was staring as she shouted, Lin Feng. Lin Feng. Si Manan frowned and slowly turned around, immediately seeing Lin Feng. The crowd was surprised when they saw Mu Qingying and Si Manan's reactions. But they had also heard of Lin Feng. Lin Feng, they're shouting Lin Feng? Some people remembered Lin Feng's name and frowned. Si Manan and Mu Qingying watched Lin Feng as 8 young people walked up to them. Those 8 people looked incredible, so strong. If they had seen only one person who was that strong, that would have been different, but 8 of them, and all together, that was incredible. Long time no see, Lin Feng greeted them with a smile. The crowd frowned. Was that Lin Feng? The one who had amazed all of Goldfire City? Long time no see, replied Si Manan, also smiling. Mu Qingying was still rather astonished. She said, Lin Feng, you're still alive. Lin Feng smiled wryly. Outside of the tower, many people heard Lin Feng's name and immediately came over to investigate. Since you're still alive, you should have come back before. Lin Shui misses you so much, she keeps saying she wants to leave to find you, said Mu Qingying. People shivered. This was the real Lin Feng, the legendary Lin Feng. Lin Feng, no wonder that you wanted to come to the Goldfire Tower, said Tantai, as if he suddenly understood something, and then burst into laughter as Lin Feng blushed. Ho Qinglin and Tianqi looked at Lin Feng and rolled their eyes. He was such a player. Is that so? Mu Qingfeng seemed to understand that Lin Feng was a player and had many women. Mu Qingfeng looked at Qingfeng. She looked extraordinarily strong and was far more beautiful than herself. Mu Qingying felt a bit jealous. Qingfeng was even better looking and stronger than Lin Shui. After a short while, another group of people came out of the tower. Some people's hearts started pounding. The teacher in golden purple clothes, teachers in golden red clothes, and teachers in purple clothes, that was stupefying. And a beautiful woman was there, too. Mu Lin Shui was there. And among them, there was also Duan Mu, the celestial emperor. Lin Feng, my boy, you finally came back to see us, exclaimed Duan Mu, smiling at Lin Feng. The crowd was astonished. A celestial emperor was calling Lin Feng, my boy? It meant that they knew each other. A celestial emperor had come out personally to greet Lin Feng. Chapter 1810. Can I come with you? Master Duan Mu. Lin Feng smiled. Master Duan Mu, you came back to the Goldfire Tower. At my cultivation level, you want to go back to simplicity. You want to enjoy life. You want to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. If the conditions are not appropriate to become a Saint Emperor, then it's too hard. It doesn't matter anymore, anyway. Duan Mu smiled calmly. Lin Feng was surprised, but then thought it over. Indeed, people like Duan Mu had seen enough in life. He was a celestial emperor, he was extremely strong. He wanted to enjoy the simple things in life. The crowd was dumbstruck. Among them, only a few people knew that Lin Feng and Duan Mu knew each other. Even Mu Lin Shui didn't know this. Someone had just gone to find them to tell them that Lin Feng was back, so the teachers had gone to find her. However, her heart was pounding. She had millions of thoughts suddenly. Even though she was quite talented, someone like Si Manan wasn't weaker than her, so the fact that Duan Mu had recruited her as a disciple was incredible. She was extremely lucky. She didn't understand before, but now she understood why. It had to be because of Lin Feng, because he knew Duan Mu. Only Lin Feng could have asked him to take care of her. Without Lin Feng, he would have never recruited her. Mu Lin Shui looked at Lin Feng with love in her eyes and said, "Lin Feng, a long time has passed. You didn't even send me a message." "I didn't want to disturb you while you were practicing cultivation," Lin Feng smiled back. Years had passed. Mu Lin Shui had long broken through to the Huang Qi layer. She looked more mature and even more beautiful. "Hee hee," Tentai laughed. Lin Feng looked at him angrily. Was he stupid or what? How could he laugh? Jun Mo Shi, the Prince of Hell, Princess Qing Feng from the animal world, Wu the sun supernatural bird, how incredible! "Lin Feng, you don't even introduce me to your friends?" said Duan Mu as he glanced at Lin Feng's friends. When the members of the Gold Fire Tower heard Duan Mu, they were astonished. These people with Lin Feng, they were astonishingly strong. The Prince of Hell, the Princess of the animal world, the sun supernatural bird, those people were terrifying. Lin Feng had become much stronger if he was with such incredible cultivators. "Master Duan Mu, you're too kind," said Jun Mo Shi, bowing before Duan Mu. After all, he was an incredible cultivator. They had to respect him. Master Duan Mu, Jun Mo Shi, Qing Feng, and Wu, no one answers. That's Ho Qing Lin and that's Tian Qi, and there, Tan Tai and Qin Wu. They are all my friends and students at Champion University, said Lin Feng. Duan Mu's eyes twinkled. You really joined Champion University? Yes, after leaving the vast celestial ancient city, I went to the holy city and I joined Champion University. It's been a while, Lin Feng sighed. Duan Mu nodded. All right, you didn't disappoint me. You're a real genius. I hope you can become a champion. When I become a champion, I hope you'll come to the ceremony, smiled Lin Feng. Duan Mu's eyes glittered sharply. He nodded and said, all right, no matter where I am in the future, I'll try to keep current with the news of the holy city. If you become a champion, I'll come. The crowd was astonished by the conversation. Even though they didn't understand everything Duan Mu and Lin Feng were talking about, they could see that it concerned serious matters that they couldn't imagine. Duan Mu obviously thought highly of Lin Feng. Maybe Lin Feng would become a terrifying cultivator someday? It seems that the champion of the competition back then became a strong cultivator, thought many people. Mu Qingying's eyes were twinkling as she watched Lin Feng. He only had the strength of the Zunqi layer, but Duan Mu was talking to him that way. He was probably hiding his real cultivation level. Everybody, let's go to the Gold Fire Tower, Duan Mu declared, smiling at Lin Feng and the others. Everybody walked into the tower at his words. Many people were agitated. Those terrifying geniuses were here. Duan Mu was welcoming them himself, and there were students from Champion University. What was going on? Lin Feng and the others followed Duan Mu into the tower and they all headed to a courtyard. Lin Feng, do you need to do anything here? Duan Mu asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng wouldn't have needed to come with so many people if he had just come to visit. I do, said Lin Feng nodding. I need to solve some issues in the 9 great celestial castles. We're going back this time. Lin Feng, I need to warn you of something, said the teacher in golden purple clothes. He was the level 9 professor who had judged their competition before. Master, is there something wrong? Asked Lin Feng. Last time we went to vast celestial ancient city, a cultivator from the everlasting palace chased us and then came to the tower. He didn't attack us directly, but after that, I investigated a little and I found out that Sword Mountain had informed the everlasting palace of your whereabouts. They told them where you were, said the professor, because you have a friend in Sword Mountain. I was extremely worried. I hoped you wouldn't go there. Don't go there. Sword Mountain. Lin Feng's eyes shone. Sword Mountain wanted to kill him? Sword Mountain weren't his enemies. The only two people who connected him to Sword Mountain were Ruoxie and Emperor Wu Tianjian. Ruoxie was a disciple of Sword Mountain, so he couldn't have tried to hurt him. So what about Emperor Wu Tianjian? Emperor Taijian had fought against Emperor Wu Tianjian many years before. Lin Feng didn't know why. Did Emperor Taijian hate Emperor Wu Tianjian that much? Lin Feng couldn't believe it. But that was the only possibility. After all, when he went to Sword Mountain, nothing wrong had happened. And what about my good friend Ruoxie? Lin Feng asked of the professor. I haven't heard of him. When you left, I heard that he had gone traveling to choose his own path, replied the professor earnestly. All right, good, said Lin Feng frowning. Duan Mu looked at him. Lin Feng, do you want to go to Sword Mountain? I can take you there. Lin Feng, Sword Mountain has many cultivators in Goldfire City. They'll soon know you're here. Let him go with you, said Mu Lin Shui. She was very worried. After all, Sword Mountain had great emperors. Lin Feng couldn't do anything against them. No need. We're not enemies, said Lin Feng, shaking his head. Even if Emperor Taijian shows up, I'll tell him my social status. If a great emperor dares fight against me, Sword Mountain will be wiped off the map, said Lin Feng. Indeed, they weren't enemies. And Emperor Wu Tianjian and he weren't that close, either. They just got along quite well. Qing Feng and Wu had memories with their clan. If Emperor Taijian dared attack, the animal clan would destroy Sword Mountain. Alright, not bad. I'll transmit some memories to you. If you are in danger, let me know, Duan Mu said, opening his third eye, which emitted dazzling lights. He put the lights in a talisman and gave the talisman to Lin Feng. If you have a problem, break the talisman and I'll come. Thank you very much, master, bowed Lin Feng. Duan Mu was extremely generous. If Qing Di Mountain attacked him, he could ask a celestial emperor for help. The group of them spent more time with the elders, and then it was time to leave. Duan Mu, thank you again for today. I'll come back to the Goldfire Tower to see you again. I'm off. Are you leaving? Duan Mu asked. Why are you in such a hurry? Master Duan Mu, I can't waste time. In Champion University, the competition is extremely high, said Lin Feng. Duan Mu nodded. Champion University's geniuses are determined. No problem, be off with you. Teacher, said Mu Lin Shui, standing up right then. What? You want to abandon your teacher and leave? Said Duan Mu smiling. I transmitted some techniques to you, and you need to choose your own path now. If you need anything, come and find me. Thank you very much, teacher, said Mu Lin Shui. She sounded like a little girl and was smiling like one. Then, Mu Qingning looked at Mu Lin Shui and said, Sister Lin Shui, are you? I'm going to trave, smiled Mu Lin Shui. She looked at Lin Feng and said, I want to go and travel with you. You can't refuse, right? When Lin Feng heard Mu Lin Shui, he smiled wryly, but Duan Mu had nodded his assent. Lin Feng didn't know how to refuse. All right, you can temporarily stay with us. We'll come back to Goldfire City on the way back anyway, Lin Feng agreed. He also wanted to bring Mu Lin Shui back to her clan for a visit. Chapter 1811. On Yaoyi Island. At the Yaoyi Islands, bestial qi was floating above the millions of islands. At that moment, on one of them, an explosive qi rolled out, dust floated in the air, stones exploded, and the ground crackled. Two gigantic apes were fighting. They both looked like gigantic towers. Great wooden sticks filled the sky, bearing terrible and explosive power. At that moment, a pitch-black demon hand came slamming down, explosive thunder erupting as it did. The fist shadow crushed the rising energies, which returned to the void. Yuan Fei, you lost again, said the great earth demon ape, laughing loudly. Yuan Fei looked exhausted. Damn it. Come again, said Yuan Fei, holding his wooden stick. He refused to lose. Forget about it. Yuan Fei, you already progressed a lot, said the gigantic ape. The great ape emperor was there, too, all three apes in company with one another. Hee, I still have to destroy the celestial qi castle, I'm still not strong enough, said Yuan Fei. Back then, the celestial qi castle had taken control of him, he had to get his revenge. Yes, Your father is still in the mountain of flowers and fruit in the small world. I wonder how he's doing, mused the great ape emperor. His gigantic eyes were twinkling. The entrance to the small world had probably been sealed already. They couldn't go back. We've all made great progress. Ban Ruo, Li Hen, Xingzhan are all emperors. Someday, we'll go back and destroy the celestial Qi castle, said Yuan Fei loudly. His eyes were shining. Yuan Fei, someone called out at that moment. A few people had arrived. Yuan Fei raised his head and saw Ban Ruo and the others. He smiled and said, I was just talking about you guys, and now you're here. Are you getting ready to go and travel a bit? Indeed. We've been back for a while already. We should go travel and practice now, said Xingzhan. He didn't like staying in the same place all the time. All right. What about you, Grandpa? Asked Yuan Fei to the great ape emperor. You can go. I'm not coming, said the great ape emperor, shaking his head. He was old. He couldn't keep up with the young people anymore. All right, we're going, smiled Yuan Fei. He didn't want to waste time. He immediately rose up into the air. However, he saw people in the distance, coming towards them quickly. What's that? They're so fast, thought Yuan Fei and the others, gazing into the distance. They frowned and stopped moving. The light beam was getting closer and resolved itself into an ancient boat carrying many young people. Suddenly, Yuan Fei's eyes went wide, staring at the boat. Lin Feng and Ho Qing Lin, Tian Qi and Zhu Nemo Shi. Ban Ruo and the others recognized the people who were coming. They could see them now. Their hearts accelerated as the boat finally stopped in front of them. Brothers, Lin Feng, Ban Ruo and the others greeted their friends. They were back. Ban Ruo, Li Hen, Xingzhan. Ho Qing Lin walked over to them and they all bumped fists hard. Tian Qi followed, smiling. So many years had passed, and finally, they were together again. Brother! They looked at Ho Qing Lin, who looked even more amazing than before. Lin Feng grinned widely. 6 of us are reunited, and with Ruo Xie, we're 7. 4 people are still missing, as well as our teachers. Tiantai's disciples will definitely gather again, proclaimed Tian Qi loudly. Lin Feng, you're good, you found Ho Qing Lin and Tian Qi. Ban Ruo exclaimed to Lin Feng. Back then, he had also saved them from the celestial Qi castle. We bumped into each other in the holy city. Now we came back to see you. We want to do what our teachers wanted us to do. We also recreated Tiantai in the holy city, Lin Feng beamed. Lin Feng is right. We recreated Tiantai in the holy city. This time, we came back because we want to go to Ba Huang. Things should change in the 9 great celestial castles, Ho Qing Lin said grimly. The 9 great celestial castles controlled their small world, and considered the strong cultivators of the small world as prey. They had to change that. Ban Ruo frowned. Brother, even though we all became stronger, I don't think we're ready for the 9 great celestial castles. They all have high-level emperors. Even medium-level emperors are difficult to defeat. If we go back, Ban Ruo stopped talking when he thought about that. Unless the members of Yaoyi Island helped them, they couldn't return to the 9 great celestial castles. Don't worry. We have many good things, smiled Ho Qing Lin dangerously. Ban Ruo and the others nodded. Since Ho Qing Lin said that, it meant they knew what they were doing. They all couldn't wait for the day when they'd destroy the celestial Qi castle. Let's go. Let's go and see Master Xin Yu, and then let's head to the 9 great celestial castles, proposed Lin Feng. They were at Yaoyi Island. They had to go and greet the elders. Doing otherwise would be impolite. Yes, Hu Yu missed you, said Xingzhan. Lin Feng's eyes twinkled. How was Hu Yu doing? Demon ape, come with us, Lin Feng said to the great earth demon ape. The ape descended from the sky and landed in front of Lin Feng. His qi was terrifying and oppressive. What? You came back, and you don't want to fight against me? Asked the demon ape, smiling at Lin Feng. Back then, Lin Feng used to go and fight against him all the time to practice. You kept humiliating me back then, but you can't anymore, grinned Lin Feng cheerfully. The demon ape said, You show off. Come here and fight. Then, the great earth demon ape stepped back and sent Lin Feng a challenging look. Lin Feng smiled indifferently before charging ahead with his wind speed. He was much faster than before. The great earth demon ape also jumped forwards and shouted furiously. The earth and the sky shook. The ape raised his hand, which blotted out the sun and came slamming down. Lin Feng raised his fist to... He didn't dodge the attack. Their fists collided violently. A terrifying strength rocked everyone. The great earth demon ape had the sensation that his forearm was broken. He was driven backwards, staring at Lin Feng as he was forced away. "What do you think?" asked Lin Feng. He was standing there motionless, grinning at the big ape. His friends were astonished. Lin Feng and the great earth demon ape had a similar physical strength? He even won against the ape? "Little boy, you progress way too fast," sighed the great earth demon ape, scratching his furry head. He looked annoyed. "I need to practice more." He came down to join them, nevertheless. Lin Feng watched him and laughed. Then, the group of friends headed off to meet the elders of Yaoyi Island. After a short time, they landed on an island thick with bestial qi. A silhouette in red appeared, jumping over to Lin Feng and hugging him. "Lin Feng, little brother, you came back to see your sister," said Huyu cutely. Lin Feng was speechless. She hadn't changed at all. "Sister Huyu, so many of my friends are here, I can't spend too much time with you, I'm sorry," replied Lin Feng. Huyu looked at them approvingly and smiled. "Good little boy. Your friends are really strong, and there are 2 beautiful girls too. No wonder you forgot about me." "How could I?" said Lin Feng, smiling wryly. He glanced at Xinyu, begging for some help here. Emperor Xinyu glanced at Huyu and sighed. "You can leave him alone now." "Mind your own business," sniffed Huyu, but she still let Lin Feng go. "Is everyone all right?" Lin Feng asked Xinyu. Xinyu nodded. Sharp lights glittered in his eyes as he asked, "Lin Feng, you and so many of your friends came here, is there a specific reason?" "Yes, we want to go back to Qingdi Mountain. We need to sort out some issues." Lin Feng nodded. "Do you need Yaoyi Island's help? After all, Qingdi Mountain is a great imperial group." Emperor Xinyu was worried for them. Uncle Xinyu, the great emperor of Qingdi Mountain, wouldn't dare show up. "And we can deal with the others," replied Lin Feng, smiling confidently. Xinyu, Huyu and the others looked impressed. Huyu smiled. "I want to come with you and have some fun." Lin Feng looked at her. What did she want to do? "Don't worry. I won't disturb you," said Huyu. Lin Feng could only smile wryly and nod. "All right. Hee, let's go. I'll take you to your little girlfriend, she missed you," said Huyu, hugging Lin Feng again before they left. Everybody looked at her strangely. Chapter 1812. Apparition of a palace. The little girlfriend Huyu was talking about was Mu Yun. Mu Yun was very happy to see Lin Feng, and smiled at him gently. She was so happy to see him that she didn't know what to say, she just forgot to talk. "You're so beautiful," said Lin Feng. He didn't know what to say, so he just said that and smiled. Mu Yun shivered and blushed deeply. "How's your journey going?" asked Mu Yun, changing the topic quickly. She still looked every bit as beautiful and gentle as before. "It's going all right. And you, aren't you bored here?" Lin Feng asked her. Mu Yun shook her head and said calmly, "I'm not bored. I study a lot. I learned how to make many new sorts of herbal potions and drugs. Sometimes when I have time, Sister Huyu helps me practice cultivation. I'm very happy here. I don't miss the tribe at all. I'm going back there. If you want to go to the tribe, you can come with me." Lin Feng knew that Mu Yun was a simple person, and didn't want to become an extremely strong cultivator, as she didn't like competition. She used to be a priestess, and just like before, she just wanted to help people. "Go back?" Mu Yun looked stupefied. "Can we go back?" "Yes, nobody will dare oppress the tribes in the desert anymore. We're going to crush the 9 great celestial castles," promised Lin Feng, smiling and nodding at her. Mu Yun looked at her thatched hut as an old man came out and told her, "Yun, if you want to go back, you can. You can come back and stay with me sometimes." "Teacher," said Mu Yun. Huyu flitted over next to her, smiled and said, "Sister Yun, don't worry, you can go back. You must be bored being all alone in Yaoyi Island. Go with Lin Feng, he'll take care of you." Mu Yun glanced at Lin Feng and shook her head. I'm going back to the tribe. If I stay with Lin Feng, I'll just bring him trouble. All right, say goodbye to your teacher then. Who you told her? Mu Yun walked over to the thatched hut and spoke for a time with the old man. Although she was sad to do so, she was going to leave. After leaving, Hu Yu moved even faster than Lin Feng, as if she were in a hurry. Lin Feng was speechless. Lin Feng, after you left, a great emperor of the everlasting palace came here. Surprisingly, he spent 2 years in Yaoyi Island. He was very patient. But in the end, since he didn't find you, he left. Hu Yu smiled icily as they flew along. Lin Feng doubted that the everlasting palace would forget about him. They had also chased him on the path from Goldfire City to vast celestial ancient city. Surprisingly, they had also sent people to Yaoyi Island. The 3 of them went back to the others. The group was even stronger now with Ban Ruo, Xingzhan, Li Hen, Yuan Fei, and Hu Yu added to their numbers. Are you leaving? Xin Yu asked Lin Feng and the others. Yes, Uncle Xin Yu. I'm truly happy to see that you're all still fine. Lin Feng bowed to the elder. Cultivators were straightforward here. Everyone was fine. That was the most important thing. All right, Hu Yu will stay with you. The situation could be dangerous. If Emperor Ni Chen causes trouble, remind him of the agreement. I don't mind teaching him a lesson and showing him how weak his disciple was, Emperor Xin Yu said evenly. Lin Feng nodded agreement. Back then, when Emperor Xin Yu had taken Lin Feng away, Emperor Ni Chen and Emperor Xin Yu had agreed to have a contest at some point to see whose disciple was the strongest. If Emperor Xin Yu hadn't reminded Lin Feng of that, Lin Feng wouldn't have remembered. He had really forgotten about it. After all, Qi Yu Chen and Zhou Tianruo couldn't compete with him anymore. Ni Chen's favorite disciple was Wen Ao Feng. Even if he was a real genius, and even if he had already become a low-level emperor a long time ago, he couldn't possibly have broken through to the medium Huangqi layer. Not everyone could be like Chu Chunqiu. Uncle Xin Yu, uncles, see you. Lin Feng waved at everyone. Ban Ruo and everyone else waved too as their group left. They were finally going to Qingdi Mountain. There were a dozen people in the boat already, with 4 beautiful women among them. Qing Feng, Mu Yun, Mu Linshui, and Hu Yu. They were all beautiful in their own way. Hu Yu kept provoking Lin Feng and asking him about his relationship with Qing Feng. She also asked him if Mu Linshui liked him or not. She found it amusing. She knew about everybody, and she also knew about the things Lin Feng had done in the Holy City. Even though she enjoyed annoying Lin Feng, everybody in the boat liked her and found her funny. It was a pleasant journey, especially as the people got to know another. After all, they all knew each other thanks to Lin Feng. So many years had passed, and Qingdi Mountain was a gigantic territory. Nothing major had happened there. People had their own lives in their own castles. Cultivators could choose their own path. The members of the 9 great celestial castles were no different. Even though there were still tensions between various cultivators, they still lived peacefully together. However, all in all, everybody understood that there were important tensions between Celestial Qi Castle and Celestial Wen Castle. After all, the Celestial Wen Castle had taken control over the small world, and were going to manage it for 10,000 years. At the same time, because of Lin Feng, tensions had appeared between the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine and the Celestial Qi Castle. After he left, the situation had become better, but the battles between their members were still intense, especially between their younger people. Even those who eventually joined Qingdi Mountain were like that. In the buffer zone of the 9 great celestial castles, there were many people gathered at a certain vendor's booth. Xia Tianfan was walking down the street. He had just bought some ore and emerged from a pavilion. He frowned. What's going on here? Surprisingly, there are so many purple meteorites. They are very useful for holy marks. They can also be used to fabricate weapons and to carve deployment spell marks. But why would someone need so many? Besides, they're quite expensive. Buying them in bulk requires lots of money. Xia Tianfan frowned. He didn't understand. Who was buying so many meteorites? Purple meteorites have limits, but they're very hard. Even emperors can't easily destroy them. Only 2 people have stock in the 9 great celestial castles. the Celestial Wind Castle and the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness. They probably want to know who those people are more than we do, spoke up someone next to Xia Tianfan. They didn't understand. How much did so many purple meteorites cost? And who was behind such a transaction? I want to know why he needs so many purple meteorites, whispered Xia Tianfan. He raised his head and looked at the people in front of him, Zhou Tianruo and Wen Tiangu. Brother Xia, I trust you have been doing well since we last met. Zhou Tianruo greeted him cordially. Xia Tianfan. Xia Tianfan ignored him indifferently and looked to Wen Tiangu, angering Zhou Tianruo. Xia Tianfan was such a bastard, giving him no face whatsoever. Do those people want other things? Xia Tianfan asked Wen Tiangu. They do. They also want red fire stones, melted golden sand, and they want to buy in bulk, admitted Wen Tiangu. Xia Tianfan shivered. Those materials were extremely hard. People used such materials to build secret rooms. What did they want to do? Can the Celestial Wind Castle say who the buyer is? Asked Xia Tianfan. When Tiangu shook his head, I just know that they're from a terrifyingly powerful clan. They paid a good price, so we couldn't refuse the transaction. We'll quickly know what they want to do, Wen Tiangu said, nodding to Xia Tianfan before leaving. Wen Tiangu was right. 10 days later, they learned what those people wanted to do. In the buffer zone in the space of one night, palaces appeared in a picturesque disorder, the corridors all intertwining. It looked like a new small town. Someone had destroyed the other buildings which were there initially. Nobody complained, which meant they had been paid well. When the crowd saw this, they were as astonished as if they had seen a mysterious thing. Cultivators had incredible powers, but building such a city in one night was incredible, especially using such materials. That wasn't a small world created by an emperor. People had built those buildings with the materials purchased recently. Chapter 1813. Offering Great Imperial Scriptures. Yesterday evening, I heard loud sounds and my apartment kept shaking. When I came here, I saw those palaces, spoke up someone in the crowd. He had been shocked during the night. I can confirm that I live over there. Someone came up to me and paid me to find a new place. I accepted. I walked away and when I turned around, I saw that, said someone else. They were all curious. Who had done that? However, at that moment, many people were afraid too. After all, the one who had built those buildings had to be an incredibly strong cultivator. They were afraid to offend him. At that moment, a group of people came out of the palace. Those people looked ordinary. They were all ordinary Zun cultivators. They weren't strong cultivators at all, but at that moment, they were carrying a gigantic stone shield. On that gigantic plaque, some words were carved. Those who go will be held responsible for their own actions. The cultivators put the shield above the entrance and then went back inside. The words contained terrifying sword and immortal meaning. An emperor carved those words, thought the crowd. Then, they looked at those who had put the shield in place and asked, "Who's the owner of that vast palace?" "We have been hired for this job. We don't know who the owner is." "But you should be careful, don't violate the rules," answered one of them, before continuing into the depths of the palace. The crowd was stupefied. What a mysterious thing. They were all curious. Who had built this building? "Jin Chenjun," shouted someone at that moment. The crowd moved aside for the strong cultivator from the Celestial Qi Castle. "Jin Chenjun, the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine, is here too." At that moment, a middle-aged man arrived as well, an emperor from the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine. The two of them looked at the palace. "Jin Chenjun, who do you think the owner of that celestial palace is?" asked the strong cultivator from the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine to Jin Chenjun. "We should go in and see," smiled Jin Chenjun. The strong cultivator of the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine smiled back and said, "I know you are very strong. You control gold cosmic energy and you have been protecting the Celestial Qi Castle for such a long time. Therefore you should go in first." Even emperors are afraid to go in, thought the crowd, shivering despite themselves. Jin Chenjun and the strong cultivator of the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine were both emperors, but they didn't dare go in. What is going on? A new group of people arrived and landed there. The crowd moved away from them cautiously. Jin Chenjun looked happy. The young master was there. "Master Yu Chen," said Jin Chenjun, bowing. That person was Jin Chenjun, a direct descendant of the celestial Qi castle. Qi Yu Chen was a genius of the celestial Qi castle. Even though he had lost in battle many times, he had also broken through to the Huang Qi layer. Besides, he had another social status. He was also one of Qingdi Mountain's cultivators. Qingdi Mountain's cultivators had a particular position in the hierarchy of the region, a symbolic social status. They were noble and strong. Qingdi Mountain's cultivators had the potential to become medium-level emperors, or even high-level emperors. "Young master, this palace," said Jin Chenjun. Chiyuchen shook his head and said, "This palace was built in one night using purple meteorites." "I know." Jin Chenjun nodded and didn't add anything. Chiyuchen walked up to the palace. "I am Chiyuchen from Qingdi Mountain. I came to greet the owner of the palace. I hope I can see him." Chiyuchen didn't say he was from the celestial Qi castle. He said he was from Qingdi Mountain. In this region, nobody dared offend Qingdi Mountain. They were the rulers here. However, nobody replied to Chiyuchen. He was initially very self-confident, but his self-confidence was crushed. The atmosphere was completely silent. Chiyuchen frowned and shouted furiously, "I am Chiyuchen from Qingdi Mountain and I came to see the owner. Come out or I'll come in." The owner must be terrifyingly strong. He dares ignore Qingdi Mountain, thought the astonished crowd. Their hearts were pounding. Chiyuchen looked furious and he walked into the corridor and said, "Since nobody is coming out, I'll go in." "How noisy!" shouted a mighty voice at that moment. Someone rose up into the air, their silhouette gigantic. Their strength kept exploding in the air around them. "An emperor!" Jin Chenjun frowned. Finally, an emperor had come out, but it was only a low-level emperor. "Are you blind?" said Tantai, releasing more of his qi. Chiyuchen also released his qi straight towards Tantai. A golden scroll appeared and surrounded Tantai. "Let's see what you can do," said Chiyuchen, releasing more and more empty space cosmic energies. He was from the celestial Qi castle and Qingdi Mountain, who dared cause trouble there. A lion roared, loud enough that the earth and the sky started shaking violently, and millions of lions charged towards Chiyuchen. He had the sensation his head was going to explode. Tantai jumped away. He punched out as the lions rained down on him. The gigantic army of lions made the ground shake violently, the earthquake intense. The crowd shivered as they sensed the qi. It was terrifyingly strong. Chiyuchen's face changed drastically. His golden scroll surrounded him and he retreated even further. However, there were lions everywhere. A terrifying strength reached out for him. He raised his hands to protect himself, but the lions kept striking him. Blood splashed and he was sent flying helplessly. "Master!" Jin Chenjun's face turned deathly pale as he caught Chiyuchen. Chiyuchen looked extremely weak. He had the sensation that his viscera were destroyed and his chest was burning. His face had turned gray. Chiyuchen had never suffered such a crushing defeat, even back then when Lin Feng had defeated him. He had also never looked this desperate. He had a great reputation, especially since he had become a cultivator in Qingdi Mountain. People admired him. He was considered a genius. And now, facing another low-level emperor, he hadn't withstood a single attack. The crowd was astonished. The lions were still roaring. How terrifying! How could a low-level emperor be so strong? Is that the leader? What is his social status? Wondered the crowd as they looked at Tantai. Jin Chenjun looked at Tantai and asked, "Your Excellency, who are you? Are you the owner of the palace? Who the fuck do you think you are to even talk to me? Fuck off. If anyone dares come here again, I'll crush them," shouted Tantai extremely aggressively. His voice exploded in the air and pierced through people's ears. Then he grunted coldly, turned around, and disappeared in the palace. Jin Chenjun was petrified. He didn't have the right to talk to him? Jin Chenjun understood that he couldn't do much, so he turned around and brought Chiyuchen away. The strong cultivator of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine frowned and left at the same time. How many people were there inside the palace? People in the crowd kept talking about this. That person was so strong and terrifying. Those lions had created an earthquake and had an explosive strength. He could even pressure medium-level emperors and had defeated Qi Yu Qin in the blink of an eye. Would the celestial Qi castle react? The news spread quickly through the 9 great celestial castles. Everybody knew that a mysterious palace had suddenly appeared and that there were terrifying emperors inside. A cultivator from there had totally crushed Qi Yu Qin from Qingdi Mountain. On the second day, more news spread that palace had created a sect and they were recruiting disciples. The name of the sect was Tiantai. Tiantai recruited disciples. Their cultivation level didn't matter much. People who weren't emperors yet received low-level imperial scriptures, low-level emperors received medium-level imperial scriptures, medium-level emperors received high-level imperial scriptures. The most astonishing thing was that people who became core members of Tiantai also received great imperial scriptures. The news spread quickly and amazed everyone in the 9 great celestial castles. Qingdi Mountain quickly heard about it, and everyone was astonished. Great imperial scriptures were wondrous and rare. In this region, only Qingdi Mountain dared transmit great imperial scriptures, but now if people became core members of Tiantai, they could receive great imperial scriptures. Chapter 1814. Protected in the celestial Qi castle, a group of people were at the top of a certain castle. Qi Yu Qin's injuries were already healed, but he wouldn't be able to use his full strength for a while. His face was long, unable to forget the humiliation. A descendant of the celestial Qi castle, a Qingdi Mountain cultivator, he was considered a great cultivator here, but surprisingly, this new palace had appeared, a strong cultivator had come out and injured him. He had suffered a crushing defeat. Emperor Dong, Tiantai used to be a powerful group in the small world, isn't there a problem? A middle-aged man asked Emperor Dong coldly. Emperor Dong had only one arm left. Back then, Lin Feng had thrown a talisman at him and he had lost an arm, which he still couldn't recover. He knew that Celestial Qi Castle wouldn't waste resources to help him. Emperor Dong was furious. He hated Lin Feng, but unfortunately back then, Lin Feng had managed to escape and he had gone to Yaoyi Island. Qi Yun Sheng and Qi Yun Lei had been killed by members of Yaoyi Island. He still remembered those events perfectly. On that day, the leaders of the 9 great celestial castles had not shown up. Emperor Ni Chen had been forced to leave. Lin Feng had taken Yuan Fei and the others away from them. And now a new palace had appeared, and they had created a new group, Tiantai, in the 9 great celestial castles buffer zone. Emperor Dong was surprised at their daring. In the small world there was a Tiantai, and Lin Feng was a member of Tiantai, but they only had Zun cultivators back then. Even their 2 emperors weren't that strong. One of them was a medium-level emperor, and the other was a low-level emperor. Even after a few years, they couldn't possibly have become much stronger. They even give great imperial scriptures to core members. I don't think it can be the same. They are definitely different, guessed Emperor Dong. The middle-aged man's eyes were glittering. He looked at Qi Yu Qin and asked, "Yu Qin, how strong was the cultivator you fought, and what skills did he use?" "He's very strong. When he shouts, heaven and earth shake violently. He also punched out and lions appeared. His cultivation, skills, and techniques are incredible. Even in Qingdi Mountain, there aren't many people who could deal with such cultivators, and even those who could are probably core disciples. I don't think it's the same Tiantai you mentioned. They just happen to have the same name," agreed Qi Yu Qin. "But Tiantai built their palace in the buffer zone, so we have to be careful," said the middle-aged man. This Tiantai was truly mysterious. They had appeared in a single night. They didn't even know who was inside. This was a dangerous time. "Should we inform the leader of the castle?" Emperor Dong asked in a low voice. The middle-aged man looked at Emperor Dong coldly without saying anything. Emperor Dong lowered his head and shivered to himself. "If we tell the leader about this, he'll think we're pieces of trash," the man eventually answered icily. Emperor Dong pulled a long face. He was being scolded like a teenager. "Find some emperors, And send them to Tian Tai to see what's inside, said the middle-aged man. The others nodded. This was an emergency. The Celestial Chi Castle wasn't the only group who thought of doing that. Tian Tai had appeared so suddenly, so the 9 great celestial castles had to find out who they were. Since Tian Tai was recruiting people, why not seize that opportunity to go in and explore Tian Tai? In the following days, more and more people headed to the buffer zone. The stream of them was endless. Tian Tai refused nobody. All the newcomers were sent to the same courtyard. The recruiters were Qin Wu, Wu, and Tan Tai. They were naturally all strangers to the 9 great celestial castles. Since Tian Tai is recruiting people, why do we have to wait here? Someone asked Qin Wu. That person was getting impatient. He was also an emperor. He had come to get ancient scriptures. He wasn't interested in Tian Tai, unless Tian Tai was powerful enough to make him rise as a cultivator. Please be patient. We're organizing everything. You are the one decided to join us, replied Qin Wu calmly. We've already been waiting for half a day. How long do we still have to wait? Can you tell us precisely? Asked someone else. Qin Wu frowned and smiled coldly. He already knew that some people would be annoying. We are recruiting people, we're not recruiting grandpas. If you don't want to wait, you can leave, replied Qin Wu coldly. Many people groaned in aggravation. We are already here, how could we leave? You must tell us why we're waiting, or at least, give us the ancient scriptures you promised, someone else demanded. Indeed. You think you can make us leave when you wish? You're insane. Someone else spoke up. The crowd was getting really impatient. I've never seen such conceited disciples. Tan Tai swore loudly. Wu stared at those people, his eyes filled with burning suns. He didn't want to deal with these things, but since he had lost against Lin Feng back then, he had to obey his orders. However, Lin Feng didn't care about these people. I just have one thing to tell you, if you don't want to be part of Tian Tai, then leave. Nobody is forcing you to stay here. If anyone talks shit again, I'll kill them. Wu promised emotionlessly. The crowd frowned. The Zun cultivators remained silent, of course. Among the people who really wanted ancient scriptures, there were also people who didn't mind waiting, especially if Tian Tai was that strong. In the future, they'd be able to compete with the 9 great celestial castles. Cultivators didn't mind waiting for a few days for such things. How arrogant! An emperor responded coldly. Busy. Wu threw himself at that cultivator like a meteor. That cultivator's face changed drastically as he retreated, but he couldn't compete with Wu in terms of speed. Wu immediately grabbed him with his claws and shrieked into his face as it started raining fireballs. The crowd saw that person's body being torn apart, and then the cosmic energies dispersed. The people there were astonished. He had killed an emperor in the blink of an eye. These people are terrifyingly strong. They seem much stronger than others of the same level, thought some emperors. Tian Tai was a powerful group if their low-level emperors were this strong. Low-level emperors from the region couldn't withstand a single attack against them, even Qingdi mountain cultivators like Qi Yuchen. The most terrifying part was that these people were also very cruel. They didn't care, they just killed emperors if they wanted, and they disrespected people like Qi Yuchen. Up in the air, Wu was surrounded by flames. He glanced at the crowd icily and asked, "Is anyone else unhappy? I'll kill them." The rest remained silent, not daring to provoke him. He had just butchered an emperor like a child. In the region of the 9 great celestial castles, emperors were very strong cultivators, but in the animal world, emperors were ordinary people. I would like to warn everyone, if you want to join Tian Tai because you harbor evil intentions, then piss off. Otherwise, when the time comes, you won't have time to escape. Qin Wu promised grimly. The undercover agents who had been sent by the 9 great celestial castles were very nervous, as expected if Qin Wu knew that there were such people among the applicants. But they couldn't leave, as they had to obey orders and find out who the leader of Tian Tai was. A silhouette finally glided in. It was a beautiful woman, Qing Feng. Wu, bring them. Tan Tai and Qin Wu, stay here and have the next ones wait here, ordered Qing Feng. Qing Feng turned to the crowd and said, "Come with me." The crowd followed Qing Feng quickly. wondering what kind of exam would they have to take. In Tiantai's long corridors, the applicants glanced around. Many people were waiting. How could they become core disciples, and would they really receive great imperial scriptures? After having waited for such a long time, it had become dark outside, but the crowd didn't leave. On the day after, the sun rose again, and they were still waiting. Someone is coming. The crowd saw many people running quickly. They were carrying a corpse. What was going on? Is that person dead? They had no chi, thought the crowd, frowning at the sight. Very quickly, those people went outside and threw the corpse on the ground. Our brother told us to tell you. Tell the 9 great celestial castles to stop sending undercover agents, otherwise we'll kill them all. Those people said that to the crowd, and then left again. The crowd was astonished. Those who were undercover agents in the crowd shook inside. Those corpses were from their groups. Tiantai dared kill their people. Chapter 18:15. Tiantai's growth. The crowd didn't leave, calmly looking at the palace, but that calm gave people a sensation of suffocation. Apart from corpses, the others had disappeared. Nobody came out. What are the people in Tiantai doing? Thought the crowd. Tiantai was so mysterious. They were afraid of what was going on. At that moment, in the palaces of Tiantai, there was a secret room. In the secret room, there were many talismans. Those talismans contained lots of skills and techniques. When people saw those talismans and saw that people had been killed, they didn't feel like leaving anymore. Before that, they had thought they could come, take some ancient scriptures and leave. But now, it was different. Those skills and techniques were too powerful, their existence too explosive. Even though they weren't Qingdi Mountain's cultivators and they had never been there, they knew that the disciples of Qingdi Mountain didn't have such powerful techniques. And that was only the beginning. Those young people were unbelievably strong. At the same level, they could easily destroy their opponents. They even had great imperial scriptures. Very excited now, the newcomers continued waiting. However, the newcomers could only become external disciples, no matter what their cultivation level was. They had to go through security checks to become internal disciples. If they became internal disciples, they could still obtain great imperial scriptures. Apart from external and internal disciples, Tiantai also had core disciples. They were the equivalent of elders in some sections. They had access to incredible skills and techniques. In a palace inside the complex, Lin Feng and the others were seated. Lin Feng asked Jun Emoshi, "Emoshi, your hell technique is so strange, they have nowhere to escape. It attacks people's determination, but those whose determination is stronger than mine are not affected," said Jun Emoshi with a quiet smile. Lin Feng, you think promising things to them will be sufficient for them to be loyal? In the world of cultivation, people do what is best for them. If we have nothing to offer, why would they join Tiantai? They will leave if we give nothing to them. If they obtain things, they'll want more, and they'll contribute to Tiantai's history, Lin Feng said calmly. Lin Feng is right. Besides, they can't possibly be like us, we're like brothers. What we want is social order, not loyalty, nodded Ho Ching Lin. So what do we do next? Asked Yuan Fei, his eyes gleaming with cold lights. He really wanted to go to the Celestial Qi Castle and kill them. They had enslaved him. No rush. We'll deal with the Celestial Qi Castle when the right time comes, said Lin Feng grimly. Even though all 9 great celestial castles wanted to control small worlds, there were some groups they wanted to destroy above all, especially the Celestial Qi Castle. Apart from the Celestial Qi Castle, they also wanted to kill the white-bearded old man of the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine, a medium-level emperor. Lin Feng remembered that old man perfectly, and really wanted to kill him. He had made his teacher kneel down. Lin Feng had to destroy the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine. In the following days, nothing major happened in Tiantai. It was very calm. However, in different rooms, there were more and more people. Those were the newcomers. More and more people wanted to join. Some people wanted to join because they were curious, or because they wanted to obtain ancient scriptures. However, after joining Tiantai, people didn't come out again. The atmosphere was very calm. The crowd also noticed that 2 medium-level emperors had joined Tiantai. They had stayed in there and hadn't come out. The people were astounded. Tiantai was still expanding. New buildings appeared each morning and they were bigger and bigger. A fog also started appearing around Tiantai. People had the impression they were looking at an illusion when they looked at Tiantai's buildings. The crowd understood that there was a powerful deployment spellcaster in Tiantai. They remembered the purple meteorites that had been purchased. Those were very useful for deployment spells. They had thought of everything when building Tiantai. Now the buildings were protected by incredibly powerful deployment spells. This mysterious group called Tiantai was quickly rising. Even the 9 great celestial castles weren't protected by deployment spells. And now that the people were starting to pay attention to Tiantai, even the leaders of the 9 great celestial castles couldn't continue ignoring them. Today, many people gathered in the buffer zone. This time, people had come from everywhere, including many medium-level emperors. Celestial Qi Castle asked us to come here. Why? Asked a strong cultivator from the Celestial Wen Castle, looking at a middle-aged man from the Celestial Qi Castle. These days, the one in charge of foreign affairs in the Celestial Qi Castle was Qi Yunlin. Back then, Qi Yunsheng had been killed by cultivators from Yaoyi Island, and then Qi Yunlei's cultivation had been crippled, so Qi Yunlin had started rising. He was very strong and had oppressed Qi Yunxiao. As if you didn't know, Brother Wen, Tiantai is rising. You don't mind? Said Qi Yunlin indifferently. Qi Yuchen is one of the Qin Di Mountains cultivators and he was attacked. You're very patient, you let them rise, retorted the strong cultivator of Celestial Wen Castle, smiling calmly. Qi Yunlin's eyes flashed angrily. The strong cultivator of the Celestial Wen Castle was making fun of him. However, he quickly controlled himself and replied indifferently, Tiantai is rising. It's a problem for all of us. Besides, they're mysterious, don't you all feel nervous with them around? Brother Qi, what do you think we should do then? Asked the white-bearded man from the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine. He was the strong cultivator who had made Emperor Yu kneel down. He had a high social status within the palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine. I also want to know what you intend to do, Brother Qi, spoke up Zhou Tianxiao, Zhou Tianrua's older brother. He was very talented and quite strong. He had broken through to the Huang Qi layer a long time ago. His cosmic energies were already level 8, and he was getting closer and closer to becoming a medium-level emperor. Many people said that he'd become a medium-level emperor within 10 years. The great celestial palace of thoughtfulness attached much importance to Zhou Tianxiao. Since Tiantai established their group in the buffer zone of the 9 great celestial castles, we can't just sit by and watch. We have to do something, we have to go there and understand the details. After that we can decide what we want to do. What do you think? Proposed Qi Yunlin. The strong cultivator of the Celestial Wen Castle smiled and said, I've always known you were a careful person, Qi Yunlin. I had thought you'd go there directly and kill people since they humiliated you. Qi Yunlin didn't care about what the strong cultivator from the Celestial Wen Castle said. Tiantai was a mysterious group and nobody knew anything about them. They couldn't possibly go there alone. I think Brother Qi is right. Tiantai is mysterious and I think everybody still remembers Lin Feng? Spoke up a strong cultivator from the Celestial Sea Kong Castle at that moment. Everybody remained silent. They all remembered Lin Feng. Back then, the Celestial Qi Castle had failed to kill him. Emperor Enai had personally come, and still Lin Feng had managed to escape with the help of Yaoyi Island's cultivators. In Lin Feng's small world, Tiantai existed and he was a member of that group, said the strong cultivator from Celestial Sea Kong Castle. People's eyes lit up. What you mean is that Lin Feng is back? Asked someone else. Maybe. We need to understand what's going on to ensure our safety, replied the strong cultivator from Celestial Sea Kong Castle. Everybody understood what he meant. This place was their territory, and now Tiantai was rising here. It was dangerous, especially if they kept growing. In around 10 days, they had already become quite large. I agree, stated the strong cultivator from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. Everybody nodded. Since everybody agrees, let's send some people to Tiantai, said Qi Yunlin. Everybody agreed. The 9 great celestial castles wanted to join hands. Even if Tiantai was mysterious, they had to give the 9 castles face. Chapter 1816. Chatting Tiantai was mysterious and powerful, and their territory was now surrounded by fog. Even though they had risen in a short time, nobody knew anything about them, so nobody acted recklessly. However, today the people of the 9 great celestial castles had finally arrived at a decision. This time, the 9 great celestial castles joined hands. Some medium-level emperors, dozens of low-level emperors, and a bunch of cultivators at the top of the Zunqi layer gathered and surrounded Tiantai. People's hearts were pounding. They understood that the 9 great celestial castles were finally going to do something. How could they let Tiantai settle there? This was their territory. They were like kings here. The buffer zone was their market, and now, a powerful new group had invaded their buffer zone and settled there. Now, their challengers were rising, so they had to do something. They were finally about to do something about it. The masses had thought they'd react much earlier though, but Tiantai was extremely powerful. They had to be cautious. At this moment, the entrance of Tiantai looked like an illusion. There was only fog. What a powerful deployment spell, thought Zhou Tianshao staring at the mists. Luckily, it's just an illusion deployment spell. If it were a destructive deployment spell, it would pose a threat to a medium-level emperor, said a strong cultivator of the celestial summer castle. There were all sorts of deployment spellcasters. Some people knew illusion deployment spells, some others knew empty space deployment spells, and some extremely strong deployment spellcasters also controlled several sorts of deployment spells. Back then, Lin Feng understood deployment spells, and here is Tiantai, mused the strong cultivator of Celestial Wind Castle, smiling indifferently. The members of the Celestial Qi Castle frowned. Did that really have something to do with Lin Feng? Lin Feng had left for a few years only, and at that time, he hadn't even broken through to the Huang Qi layer yet. Could he be that strong? Could Lin Feng have incredible great imperial scriptures? Could he buy extremely expensive, almost priceless, materials? Impossible. Let's go inside and we'll see, Zhou Tianshao answered patiently. Then, he shouted, the 9 great celestial castles have come here to greet the leader of Tiantai. His voice spread through all the buildings of Tiantai. For an answer, a group of people came out and glanced at the members of the 9 great celestial castles. They said nothing. They just watched them calmly. Everybody, may we enter? Asked a strong cultivator of the Celestial Qi Castle when he saw that those people weren't speaking. He was unhappy. Those people were just cultivators of the Zunqi layer. Usually, such people respected him, but these people didn't. If you have an invitation, replied one of them, glancing at the crowd dismissively. The strong cultivator of the Celestial Qi Castle was infuriated. Damn it! The 9 great celestial castles are here and you dare act so arrogantly, shouted the strong cultivator of the Celestial Qi Castle, angry now. He was so loud that everybody could hear him in the palaces of Tiantai. Tiantai hasn't invited you. If you're not happy then you can leave, one of those people retorted impolitely. The strong cultivator of the Celestial Qi Castle was getting angrier. He was about to explode. Who do you think you are talking to? You're bullying our disciples. If the people of the Celestial Qi Castle take one step into Tiantai, they'll die, no exception, said another person at that moment. Everybody heard the voice. The onlookers were petrified. How aggressive and arrogant. The members of the Celestial Qi Castle couldn't go to Tiantai anymore. Someone was threatening the Celestial Qi Castle in the buffer zone of their own region. What a humiliation! The faces of the Celestial Qi Castle members changed drastically. They all looked incredibly angry. People from the Celestial Summer Castle, from the Ancient Celestial Castle and from the Celestial Transformation Palace, please come in, spoke out yet another voice. People's eyes glittered. Tiantai had invited the Celestial Transformation Palace, the Celestial Summer Castle and the Ancient Celestial Castle to come in, but not the members of the Great Celestial Palace of Thoughtfulness, The palace of the celestial kings of medicine and the celestial Wen castle. Concerning the celestial Qi castle, there wasn't much to say. "You're invited," said the visible members of Tiantai, watching the members of the three groups. They were happy to go and see what was inside. Those who hadn't been invited frowned and pulled long faces. The people invited by Tiantai disappeared inside the palaces. "We came to greet you and you humiliate us," shouted the strong cultivator of the celestial Qi castle furiously. "Keep calm. When they come out, they'll tell us everything," said the strong cultivator of the celestial Wen castle calmly. He wasn't angry. The members of the three groups who had been invited walked in the corridors and arrived at a courtyard, where a banquet had been prepared. They looked to the young man who had the best seat. His Qi was extremely sharp. On his left and right, there were more young people and they looked incredibly strong too. One of them was incredibly tall and sturdy, built like a tower. Even though they are only low-level emperors, they look really strong. They must be from very famous clans, thought the group. Who controlled Tiantai? Why did all those young people look so extraordinary? "Everybody, please have a seat," said Qin Wu, standing up. The guests sat down without fuss. "You all came to Tiantai for a reason, I guess? Please, feel free to talk to us about anything," said Qin Wu before he sat down again. "Sorry for being rude, but why did you come here, and why did you build Tiantai in the buffer zone of our territory?" asked someone from the Celestial Summer Castle straightforwardly. He didn't need to dance around what they wanted either. "Let me explain," interjected Wu. He glanced at the crowd, his eyes filled with burning suns, and continued, "I am not interested in knowing why you came here. However, we invited you and there are a few things you need to understand clearly. First, Tiantai is here and will stay here, and we will also expand. Secondly, Tiantai will also fight against some of the 9 great celestial castles, but it can be avoided. Thirdly, Tiantai has determined some rules not only concerning this place, but also concerning the different small worlds." As Wu talked, people's hearts started pounding. Weren't they going too far? "Don't talk too hastily." Wu raised his hand, then he continued, "I will not repeat those 3 things. Now, you can make a decision, you can be friends with us, or you can be our enemies. You are free to make your own decisions. You don't need to tell me anything either. Just remember what I said." How arrogant, thought the guests. They had never met someone this arrogant. "All right, let's enjoy the banquet. You can leave whenever you want. Keep in mind that people who were not invited aren't able to enjoy this banquet." Wu stood up and left. The crowd was stupefied at his behavior. "Everybody, he has a very bad temper. Sorry about that, but he's right. People who weren't invited won't even have the opportunity to drink with us," Tantai said cheerfully, laughing happily. "Everybody, come, let's drink." The crowd had many thoughts, but they couldn't refuse drinking with Tantai. Wu had told them they could make their own decisions, they could leave if they wanted to. "Oh, by the way, who's Tiantai's leader?" asked someone else, putting their glass back on the table. Tantai and Qin Wu smiled and Tantai said, "Tiantai's leaders are its members. We are all like brothers. Besides, I can tell you one thing, nobody has a high cultivation level in Tiantai, but we managed to build Tiantai here. I can also tell you something, the one who initiated the construction project isn't a stranger. You know him. He doesn't consider you as his enemies, you can decide whether you want to be his friend or his enemy." Qin Wu smiled. Then they both stood up and said, "Help yourselves." Then Tantai and Qin Wu left. However, people's hearts were pounding. They knew the one who had initiated the project. "It's Lin Feng, he's back." Xia Tianfan had also come into the palace. He was the first one to break the silence. The crowd shivered. Lin Feng had caused much trouble in Celestial Qi Castle back then. He was back, and he had created a new group here. When the members of the 3 groups left Tiantai, the others groups surrounded them with questions, but those people just smiled and glanced at them. They said absolutely nothing and left quickly. The people left outside was astonished. As they people left, those outside heard a voice which from inside Tiantai. "Tiantai has a message for Celestial Wen Castle, Celestial Si Kong Castle, the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness, and the celestial palace of the punishing thunders. If you want to go to Tiantai, send your leaders. Regarding the celestial Qi castle and the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, they said you could piss off. Chapter 1817. Forcing the way. If the four groups wanted to go to Tiantai, they had to send their leaders. Celestial Qi castle and the palace of the celestial kings of medicine could piss off. The crowd understood something now. The three groups who had been to Tiantai had been treated properly and politely, which was why they had said nothing and had directly left. Something else, tomorrow at noon. Tiantai will go to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, another voice rang out. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine suddenly looked both furious and nervous. All right, the palace of the celestial kings of medicine will be happy to receive Tiantai. A strong cultivator of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine spoke up after remaining silent for a few seconds. They couldn't wait to see who Tiantai's cultivators were. Tiantai was now surrounded by an illusion deployment spell, so they couldn't go inside to kill people. But if Tiantai's people came to their territory, then it was another story. Let's go! The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine left. Other people started leaving too. The strong cultivators of the celestial Qi castle glanced at Tiantai coldly one last time and also departed. The strong cultivators of the celestial Wen castle also glanced at Tiantai, their eyes gleaming. Since Tiantai was behaving differently depending on who they were, it meant that they really had something to do with the 9 great celestial castles. Tiantai was very polite to the celestial transformation palace, the celestial summer castle, and the ancient celestial castle. Tiantai wasn't polite to celestial Wen castle, celestial Sikong castle, and so on. They asked them to send their leaders. And finally, celestial Qi castle and the palace of the celestial kings of medicine were told to piss off. That wasn't even being impolite, that was a provocation. Considering the circumstances, the strong cultivator of the celestial Wen castle had the feeling that Lin Feng had something to do with them. However, they still had doubts because Lin Feng couldn't have become that strong so quickly, could he? Tiantai had said they would go and visit the palace of the celestial kings of medicine tomorrow at noon. What would happen? What would they do? Everybody, it seems that we have to inform Qing Di Mountain, said the strong cultivator of celestial Wen castle indifferently. The others left immediately, understanding that they had to inform their sovereign. Tiantai was mysterious, so they didn't try anything dangerous. They had to be careful, especially now that there was an illusion deployment spell around Tiantai's palaces now. They would need to wait and see. The news that Tiantai was going to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine on the morrow quickly spread throughout the 9 great celestial castles. Many people started going to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine to enjoy the spectacle. The members of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine also informed their leaders. Some strong cultivators started gathering in the buffer zone at the entrance to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. They were going to see what Tiantai was going to do to them. The next day, the sun was shining and at its highest. Although it was quite warm, some people were getting chills. Many strong cultivators were here now, heading to the buffer zone of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. At the entrance of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, the atmosphere was lively. Inside the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, outside of a building, a white-bearded emperor in white clothes looked at the sky. The sun was at its highest. He frowned and gazed into the distance coldly. It was almost time. Tiantai was going to arrive soon. Master, you were not here yesterday, but Tiantai humiliated the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. They invited Celestial Summer Castle and 2 others inside, but they didn't invite Celestial Wen Castle and some others. However, they said the Celestial Qi Castle and the Palace of the Celestial Kings of Medicine could piss off. They also said they'd visit us. They're extremely arrogant. A strong cultivator reported coldly. I know, the white-bearded emperor answered calmly. Today, we have 6 medium-level emperors, we also have 18 low-level emperors, and I'm here too. We'll see if they are strong enough to compete with such an army. If Tiantai bluffed, they're going to die here. Apart from that little boy back then, I've never seen anyone that arrogant, someone else observed. The white-bearded emperor smiled coldly and asked, Yi Si, when will Yi Xing arrive? Don't worry. After Yi Xing's defeat, he was so sad that he went to a dozen small worlds and gathered experience. After breaking through to the Huangqi layer, he came back and went to Qingdi Mountain. He's practicing cultivation really hard there. Emperor Ni Qin thinks that he's even stronger than Qi Yu Qin and Zhou Tianru. Yi Xing can even compete with Wen Ao Feng. I told him to come back. He's going to come back with friends from Qingdi Mountain. They're all low-level emperors at least. Even if Tiantai is strong, they can't do anything to us. Qingdi Mountain's strong cultivators are incredible. They can probably kill those people. I'm not worried with you, the white-bearded emperor said indifferently. All the emperors around him smiled coldly. With Qingdi Mountain's cultivators, there was even less risk. Tiantai was going to be destroyed soon. At that moment, people raised their heads and gazed into the distance. It was about time. In the distance, a strong cultivator wearing white clothes appeared. He looked clean and simple. On his clothes, there was a Tiantai logo, a gigantic palace with an endless flight of stairs which rose to the skies. People's eyes locked on him. So many strong cultivators. 30 emperors. They recruited more than 30 emperors in such a short time? Incredible, thought the crowd. They were stupefied. But there were also more than 100 cultivators of the top of the Zunqi layer with them, and they were dragging a gigantic tank. The tank was purple and dazzling, made of purple meteorites. There were 9 dragons around it. Some people rode them. They looked majestic and imposing. There were also blurry silhouettes in the tank, as if they were in a deployment spell. Tiantai was still so mysterious. Nobody knew who or how many people there were in the tank. These people still looked so unfathomable and enigmatic. There were more and more people. The emperors of Tiantai were leading the way. Finally, they landed on the main road. They're here. Everybody had been waiting. However, when those people landed, people were suddenly covered with cold sweat. The qi of Tiantai's cultivators was terrifying. Did they want to destroy the palace of the celestial kings of medicine? If Tiantai wasn't strong, would they have invaded the city? Would they have come to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine like this? In the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, people rose up in the air. However, they didn't dare prevent Tiantai's cultivators from moving forwards. The dragons and the tank continued moving forwards. How audacious! Thought the white-bearded emperor, his facial expression changing drastically as he saw that army. Tiantai's people were arrogant. Even when the leaders of the 9 castles traveled, they never did things like this. Tiantai was crazy. Stop! Shouted the white-bearded emperor extremely loudly. Silhouettes rose up in the air, more than 20 emperors, including 6 medium-level emperors. They all looked extremely strong. If Tiantai dared act that arrogantly, well, the palace of the celestial kings of medicine was going to show them. Tiantai's emperors, the dragons, and the tank all stopped. They were still surrounded by fog though, and nobody could see who was in the tank or how many people there were inside. Since you're already here in the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, why do you keep hiding? You should show your face. The white-bearded emperor snorted coldly. He couldn't see through the fog either. Chapter 1818. Huge difference at that moment. Other strong cultivators from the 9 great celestial castles were in the palace of the celestial kings of medicine too. They made no secret of their presence, so the palace of the celestial kings of medicine didn't prevent them from watching. No matter where those people were, at that moment, the members of the palace were just fixedly staring at the carriage. Who was inside? Old white-bearded dude back then, when I left the 9 great celestial castles, I told you that someday I'd come back to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. I'm here now. A hoarse voice spoke up. It came from the carriage. The white-bearded emperor was stupefied. Of course, he remembered that time. The first time he had heard him say that he didn't care, but the second time, he had remembered because he had shown how strong he was during the competition for the small worlds. Back then, he had thought that Lin Feng would probably pose a threat to them in 10 years. However, 10 years hadn't passed, and that arrogant young man was back already. The fog around the carriage slowly dispersed. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine stared at it as a group of people emerged. They were all young, but all of them looked extraordinary. The members of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine started shaking. "As expected, it's you, Lin Feng," said the white-bearded old man fixedly staring at Lin Feng. The group of people jumped off the carriage and rose up into the air. All the members of the 9 great celestial castles could clearly see them. They were stupefied. Lin Feng was back, and he had recreated Tiantai in their buffer zone. When the crowd saw those people, they paid particular attention to their cultivation levels. Many people took a deep breath in relief. Those young people were all low-level emperors, and Lin Feng was still a Zun cultivator. They couldn't pose a threat to the 9 great celestial castles at all. Of course, the crowd was more worried because of the people who were behind Lin Feng. Some of those people were already members of Tiantai back then. The one in cyan clothes is called Ho Qing Lin, that Buddhist monk is called Tian Qi, the one in golden clothes is Jun Mo Shi from the celestial palace of the immortals. Those people there were enslaved by celestial Qi castle. When Tian Gu exclaimed at that moment, he understood why Lin Feng didn't like celestial Qi castle and the palace of the celestial kings of medicine now. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine were relieved as well. Lin Feng couldn't do anything against them. The white-bearded old man smiled coldly. "You kept hiding. I thought you were a mysterious and incredible new group. In the end, you are a bunch of dropouts. And you're disappointing, you haven't even broken through to the Huang Qi layer. You might be stuck at the Zun Qi layer, maybe you'll never break through to the Huang Qi layer. I overestimated you back then. Just call the incredible cultivators who came with you. You are well beneath our notice." Lin Feng looked at the white-bearded old man in a meaningful way and smiled. "Don't be upset. And we are alone." "You're alone?" Another medium-level emperor couldn't believe it. "Indeed. Only us. All the members of Tiantai are here," Lin Feng replied calmly. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine were astonished, and they weren't the only ones, everybody was astonished. How did these people dare act so arrogantly? "Lin Feng, how many talismans did you make to fight against us this time?" asked the white-bearded old man after remaining silent for a few seconds, then he laughed. He hadn't forgotten about Lin Feng's talismans. He had used them to kill many emperors back then. Then, he had also used deployment spells. His deployment spells were more powerful than his fighting abilities. "You're a medium-level emperor and you're afraid of me, you're pathetic," said Lin Feng, taking a step forwards. He continued, "These people are all my friends. Some of them were direct disciples in Tiantai. The others joined Tiantai later on. But our teachers are still the leaders of Tiantai. You know why we came to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine this time. We want to compare our strength with you." Lin Feng smiled and looked at the strong cultivators from the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. "So many emperors. You're all so old you look like old skeletons. Who wants to fight?" "How arrogant." The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine looked at Lin Feng coldly. A low-level emperor jumped forwards. His cosmic energies were already level 8. He would definitely win. "Bzz." The old man moved like the wind and countless trees shot towards Tiantai. However, Tiantai jumped up, cracking and shattering sounds erupted as lions roared. A terrifying energy rose up as the air distorted. The earth and sky started shaking violently. Lin Feng's brain was shaking, but he heard nothing. He had the sensation his blood was boiling. Loud voice assassination. Lin Feng frowned. He saw Tiantai wave his hand. Millions of lions appeared in the air, but disappeared immediately. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine suddenly fell down onto their knees, in ear-splitting pain. "Great invisible elephant." Tiantai jumped up and raised his hand, immediately slapping down a strong cultivator of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. The crowd was astonished. especially the strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, their faces twisting in shock. What kind of strength was that? What were those attacks? Loud voice assassination? Great invisible elephant? There was absolutely no sound in the atmosphere. Everybody was totally silent. Many Zun cultivators had started bleeding from the ears. Everyone was astonished. Old fools remain old fools. You're so weak. Lin Feng, those old dudes are pieces of trash. None of them should have the honor of fighting against us, Tantai spat out. The atmosphere was completely silent. He then slapped down another man. Something broke loudly, and the cultivator gave a horrible shriek as he crashed onto the ground and coughed up blood. The cultivators Lin Feng brought are terrifying, thought the shaken crowd. Even though Tantai was a low-level emperor, he was monstrously strong and extraordinary character. Of course, Tantai wasn't proud, he just done what Lin Feng had told him to do. He knew that Tiantai wasn't all that strong, but these people were just too weak. Their ancient scriptures, skills, and techniques were weak. They couldn't compare themselves with such weaklings. These people would probably never study great imperial scriptures. That's the guy who injured Yu Qin. Jin Chenjun told Qi Yunlin. Jin Chenjun hadn't thought that Lin Feng would really come. He remembered Lin Feng perfectly. Of course, some people remembered Lin Feng even more. Emperor Dong and Emperor Qi, when they saw Lin Feng, hatred exploded in their hearts. Because of Lin Feng, their lives had become miserable. Emperor Dong had lost an arm, and there was Qi Qianxing too. Surprisingly, Lin Feng was back. They needed to get their revenge. You brought some incredible cultivators, the white-bearded emperor said coldly. Tantai could even pose a threat to medium-level emperors. They couldn't clearly see how strong Lin Feng's friends were. Low-level emperors couldn't fight against them at all. Tantai, move away, those people don't dare come closer while you're here, Lin Feng said with a cheeky grin. Tantai laughed and moved back. Lin Feng smiled at Qing Feng. Qing Feng, do you want to try? Qing Feng nodded and moved forward like a gust of wind. Surprisingly, this time Lin Feng had sent a woman. The members of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine didn't dare underestimate her. The white-bearded old man looked at another senior and said, "You, go." "All right," acknowledged the old man, releasing powerful cosmic energies. His cosmic energies were already level 9. "I'm going to attack," Qing Feng informed him calmly. Then, she suddenly disappeared into the wind. The old man's face changed as a gloomy forest appeared around him. "Bzzz." Fire suddenly appeared and burned the trees. The old man retreated quickly. "Slow," shouted Qing Feng, and everything slowed down abruptly. A beam of light appeared, and the old man's face turned deathly pale. A gigantic pair of wings crashed against him, and blood splashed. The old man shrieked and was blasted away. One of his arms fell down from the sky without him. Qing Feng moved back to Lin Feng. The crowd only saw a light beam moving. Emperors look so weak before these people, thought the watchers when they saw the strong cultivator of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine look so weak. Why were the low-level emperors of Tiantai so strong? Chapter 1819. Responsibility. Several sorts of cosmic energies. She used 4 sorts of cosmic energies, thought the observers, looking at Qing Feng. She was so beautiful and so strong. She wasn't any weaker than the massive Tantai. The crowd then looked at Lin Feng's friends. Were they all that strong? If that was the case, then the situation looked bad. But of course, the members of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine were the ones who were the most surprised. If all their low-level emperors continued fighting, they'd all suffer crushing defeats. They already understood that at the same level, they couldn't do much against Lin Feng's friends. At that moment, Tianqi walked forwards and put his palms together, releasing golden energies. He looked like a Buddha. However, this time, the strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine looked at Tianqi and remained silent. Nobody dared face Tianqi. The white-bearded emperor looked at Tianqi coldly. "Lin Feng told me that our teacher begged for help, but you humiliated him back then. You even stole his treasures. You were very arrogant, and now you don't dare come and fight? Asked Tianqi. Even though he was a Buddhist cultivator, he could also be very aggressive. Those watching shivered, their hearts pounding in their chests. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine now had to face them because of that one moment of arrogance. The palace of the celestial kings of medicine was being humiliated by that teacher's disciples. They had come to avenge their teacher. How ridiculous! You should leave now. Otherwise, the palace of the celestial kings of medicine will stop being polite to you, said the white-bearded old man coldly. What the old man meant was that they were going to send medium-level emperors if Lin Feng and his friends didn't leave. Tianqi understood that too. He smiled coldly and said, "Today, whether we do one-on-ones or a group battle, we won't stop battling. Don't try and find excuses. You're shameless and ignorant. You came to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine to provoke us. Since it's that way, Yao Chen, go and crush him. Teach him respect," ordered the white-bearded emperor coldly. A medium-level emperor jumped up. The crowd was surprised. The palace of the celestial kings of medicine was now sending medium-level emperors for real. However, Tianqi just stood there fearlessly. He was long since prepared. Kids dare act that arrogantly and insolently nowadays, spat Yao Chen. Would cosmic strength surrounded Tianqi, turning into vines which sought to bind Tianqi. However, Tianqi looked totally serene. He was surrounded by golden lights that were becoming more and more dazzling. He also chanted mantras in a clear and melodious, pure and deep, far-reaching Brahma voice. The image of an ancient Buddha appeared behind him. Yao Chen jumped forwards, his hands turning into sharp wooden sticks. The wood energies about them were extremely sharp, like blades. Indestructible body. Buddha lights invaded the atmosphere and stopped the wood energies. Gold strength was extremely hard. However, Yao Chen groaned coldly and turned into a bestial tree. Tianqi was surrounded by sharp wood energies which pierced through his golden lights. Tianqi continued chanting in that imposing Brahma voice. He gradually turned into a second Buddha, then a third, and a fourth, and then they all merged into one gigantic ancient and indestructible Buddha. Tianqi's chants never stopped. The gigantic Buddha descended from the sky and pressed down on Yao Chen. How could a pitiful low-level emperor defy my cosmic energies? I'm a medium-level emperor, snarled Yao Chen, coldly turning into countless vines. His sharpened wood energies moved towards the Buddha energies. However, they all broke apart. More vines rose up in the air, the ground was shaking, but Tianqi's voice only grew louder and louder. His Buddha surrounded the trees, shocking Yao Chen. Tianqi was too strong. The crowd around them was stupefied. Even though Yao Chen wasn't a very strong medium-level emperor, he was still a medium-level emperor, his cultivation level much higher than Tianqi's. But it didn't seem to matter in this battle. Tianqi's fighting abilities were incredible. Those watching were astonished. They had rarely seen such strong cultivators. I understand why those people didn't want to leave Tiantai after joining, whispered Xia Tianfan to himself. His eyes were twinkling. His skills were already very powerful. The celestial summer castle had some great ones. However, Tianqi's fighting abilities were beyond terrifying, far beyond the skills he had learned. Tiantai's disciples come from the small world. In the continent of the 9 clouds, they are afraid of nobody. They are very determined and only think of cultivation. Nothing can influence them. The geniuses of the 9 great celestial castles, even if they are talented, aren't determined enough. They have no ambition. They all hope they'll join Qingdi Mountain, and that's all. After becoming strong enough in Qingdi Mountain, they sometimes try to travel and become stronger, but it takes them many, many years. In the 9 great celestial castles, everybody wanted to become Qingdi Mountain's disciples. It was one of their main goals. But once they were in Qingdi Mountain, what then? While they were comfortably practicing cultivation in Qingdi Mountain, Lin Feng and his friends had traveled over thousands of kilometers. They had their own paths. I want to become stronger. I have to leave. I can't stay here anymore. I have to forget everything. I have to choose my own path and start all over, thought Xia Tianfan with a sigh. He suddenly felt much more relaxed. How many people had the same thoughts as him? Many people were happy to stay here. They were basically living in a prison they made for themselves. At that moment, the battle ended. Tian Chi's sentient being's Buddhist enlightenment attack had oppressed the medium-level emperor and crushed him to death. Tian Chi had killed a medium-level emperor. "You want to die," said the white-bearded emperor coldly. Some strong cultivators around him suddenly started running forwards and releasing cosmic energies. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine lunged towards Tian Chi. Tiantai wanted to attack, but Lin Feng prevented him from going and said, "It's about Tiantai's direct disciples today. The other brothers don't need to get involved." As Lin Feng talked, Ho Qing Lin had already started running forward and releasing Azura reincarnation strength. 2 cultivators died instantly. People's hearts pounded. One sword lacerated 2 emperors. Ho Qing Lin hadn't shown how strong he was before, but the crowd could see it now. Ban Ruo, Xingzhan, and Li Hen also attacked. They were also the emperor's direct disciples. They had to help. 5 low-level emperors are killing the emperors of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. Are they insane? Lin Feng prevented some other people from fighting. Ho Qing Lin and Tian Chi continued running forwards. Ho Qing Lin released reincarnation sword energies which blotted out the sky, threatening to devour it. Tian Chi's Buddha lights illuminated heaven and earth. Ban Ruo stayed behind them, as he was weaker. At that moment, Lin Feng also stepped forwards and looked at the white-bearded old man coldly. "I won't kill you, but back then, you humiliated my teacher. You have to pay back, but 100 times more." The white-bearded old man looked back at Lin Feng emotionlessly. He was shaking inside. A Zun cultivator was talking to him like that, and was scaring him. "Die!" shouted a strong cultivator at that moment, charging towards Lin Feng. At the moment when the crowd thought Lin Feng was going to attack, someone else attacked him by surprise. However, Lin Feng didn't move. The strong cultivator's attack immediately struck Lin Feng. The crowd was speechless and dumbstruck. Lin Feng didn't even move. However, very quickly, they realized they were wrong. Lin Feng raised his hand and grabbed that cultivator's head. He raised the man's head, who only saw 2 ice-cold pupils glaring back at him. Boom! An explosion rang out, and cosmic energies dispersed. The cultivator's skull had exploded, and his headless corpse fell from the sky. People's hearts were racing madly. Lin Feng could kill emperors so easily? It seemed so simple for him. Chapter 1820, Slaughtering Zun Chi Layer? Everybody was astonished. Lin Feng had come back, and he had come back with some extremely strong people in Tiantai's disciples. Lin Feng looked like he only had the strength of the Zun Chi layer. Had he hidden his cultivation level? A low-level emperor couldn't injure him with his physical strength, thought the shaken crowd. Chi rose to the skies, purple threads flowing through it. The tank rose up into the air. Lin Feng slowly walked towards a medium-level emperor. A low-level emperor who was trying to block the way was crushed by the purple tank and basically disappeared. On his left side, another strong cultivator attacked Lin Feng, but Lin Feng suddenly turned around and looked at that cultivator with his pitch-black eyes, attacking his will. He released his godly awareness, and that person had the sensation he was going to die. Lin Feng slapped him, Kulpa strength rolled out, and crushed that cultivator who couldn't withstand a single attack. Low-level emperors can't even take a single attack from him, thought the members of Celestial Chi Castle. Lin Feng and his friends were terrifyingly strong. They posed a definite threat. In the crowd were many of Lin Feng's old friends, such as Wen Tiangu, Xia Tianfan, and so on. When they saw Lin Feng fight like that, their hearts were filled with ambition and ardor, and their blood was boiling. Lin Feng had become so strong he could easily crush low-level emperors. Everybody understood that at the same level, nobody could compete with him anymore. The most astonishing part was that Ho Qing Lin and Tian Chi were equally terrifying. Ho Qing Lin's reincarnation energies and Tian Chi's Buddha energies could easily crush low-level emperors as well. Medium-level emperors couldn't compete with them either. Tianqi had already crushed another medium-level emperor and 2 low-level emperors. Ho Qinglin had studied the celestial evolution holy scriptures a lot. They were incredibly powerful. Even Ho Qinglin was surprised when studying them. Reincarnation shadows appeared, the earth and the sky turned into a wheel of reincarnation. Inside the wheel of reincarnation, Azura energies crushed people drawn into it. Just now, dangerous cosmic energies had dispersed. A medium-level emperor had fallen. Just like that, Ho Qinglin had condensed a normal sword and then reincarnation inside it. Even though Ban Ruo, Li Hen, and Xingzhan weren't as strong as Ho Qinglin and Tianqi, they also had particular powers and they had practiced cultivation really hard on Yaoyi Island. They had also traveled a lot, so they had lots of experience. Therefore, cultivators of the same level in the palace of the celestial kings of medicine couldn't compete with them either. The crowd watched the battle as stones exploded and dust kept rising. Canyons appeared in the ground, and palaces exploded. 6 cultivators from Tiantai were slaughtering all of them. The low-level emperors of Tiantai could easily oppress medium-level emperors of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. Lin Feng landed in front of a medium-level emperor and released immortal energy. He looked like a death god. The medium-level emperor's heart was pounding as lightning descended from the sky. Lin Feng punched out at him, making heaven and earth shake. He had never had that feeling. He was afraid of someone who wasn't even a low-level emperor. Lin Feng condensed destructive immortal energy. The purple tank slammed down, and the medium-level emperor finally exploded and died. Lin Feng looked at the white-bearded emperor who hadn't moved. Lin Feng sneered at him arrogantly and said, "What? Your Excellency, you don't even dare fight?" The white-bearded emperor's heart was pounding. He watched the scene, unable to calm down. Lin Feng had become so strong. He had never thought Lin Feng would become so strong. He hadn't thought that a Tiantai would appear either. He hadn't thought that a group of terrifying young people would come to their territory and rebuild their sect here. Even though they were only low-level emperors, they could already kill medium-level emperors. And Lin Feng even controlled immortal energies. Back then when I left, I told you I'd come back to the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. Now, I want you to kneel down and prostrate yourself 300 times. If you do, I won't kill you. Lin Feng promised emotionlessly. The white-bearded emperor's face turned red in fury. He was a medium-level emperor of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. Could he prostrate himself 300 times before a Zun cultivator, and one much younger than him on top of that? You're young. Be merciful. You're in the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, our territory. The white-bearded emperor replied cautiously. He was trying to threaten Lin Feng. Many young people from Tiantai hadn't even attacked yet, and he knew that the palace couldn't win. If you had been merciful, today wouldn't have happened. You humiliated my teacher, you're worse than an animal. Spat Lin Feng, aggressively releasing energies. He looked like a death god. The white-bearded emperor was staring at Lin Feng. Behind him, a strange tree had appeared. Most descendants of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine had a tree spirit and controlled with cosmic energy. Lin Feng watched him coldly, his expression frozen. He took a few steps forwards, releasing wind cosmic energy. He landed in front of the elder and released sword energy. The white-bearded emperor sensed the energy approaching, and had the impression he was going to suffocate from the pressure. Dazzling lights pierced through his eyes and he started feeling extremely hot, as if he had started to burn. He used his tree spirit to protect himself. His hands turned into vines, but the vines immediately broke apart, shredded by the sword lights. Lin Feng's sword energies were heavy. He was using 3 sorts of sword meaning. The white-bearded emperor's heart was pounding violently in pain. He shouted furiously, and a forest appeared. At that moment, the 4th sword moved towards him and descended from the sky. It looked like an undying shooting star as it streaked across the sky, full of immortal intent. He didn't have time to release strength anymore, and didn't know what to do. However, Lin Feng stopped and looked at him. Then he moved invisibly quickly towards the white-bearded emperor at full speed. The emperor was struggling to protect himself from the fourth sword attack. Lin Feng raised his hands, thunder boomed, and Lin Feng smashed into him. Bones cracked loudly, and the emperor fell down softly. Even though he was a medium-level emperor, his physical body didn't even have the strength of a low-level emperor. Lin Feng could easily pound on him. The white-bearded emperor tried to roar in outrage as he raised his head weakly. A gigantic hand crashed down onto his head, pushing him into the ground, where Lin Feng slammed his foot down onto the man's face. The emperor was furious from humiliation and released more cosmic energies. However, Lin Feng continued slapping him. Lin Feng was humiliating an old medium-level emperor as if he were an ordinary old man. More bone-breaking sounds rose, and the old man screamed horribly. He could die any time, his organs were severely damaged. That's not a battle anymore, that's a massacre, thought the crowd. Lin Feng had stopped attacking, but he could have crushed the old man, who was forced to kneel down. Tiantai hadn't come to battle, they had come to humiliate the palace of the celestial kings of medicine who had humiliated their teacher. Ho Qing Lin and the others crushed the strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine. Nobody would dare offend them after that. The strong cultivators of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine looked so weak next to them. "Stop," said someone at that moment. The crowd was startled at the sudden intrusion. Two strong cultivators came charging over. One of them came from the palace of the leader of the palace of the celestial kings of medicine, and the other one had traveled from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness. He wasn't from the great celestial palace of thoughtfulness, of course. The one who had just shouted was a cultivator from Qingdi Mountain. Chapter 1821. Important decisions at Celestial Wen Castle. The leader came out personally to greet the guests. He came out of his palace and saw Emperor Ni Chen and Wen Ao Feng standing there. He greeted them politely. "Brother Ni Chen, it's an honor to see you here." "Brother Wen, no need to be so polite. I came regarding the mysterious group Tiantai. Since they suddenly appeared here, I took Ao Feng out, and we're having a look," said Ni Chen. He liked to pamper Wen Ao Feng, who was his favorite disciple. When Ao Feng had broken through to the Huangqi layer before Yi Xing, Qi Yuchen, and Zhou Tianrua, so he was really talented. Now, he was going to become a medium-level emperor soon, and even in Qingdi Mountain, there weren't many people like him. When Ao Feng would be as strong as him before his 100th birthday. He also liked Yi Sheng, but there was still a big difference between Wen Ao Feng and Yi Sheng. Indeed, Tiantai is really mysterious. They went to the palace of the medicinal kings today. Some blood will be shed, the leader of Celestial Wen Castle smiled. Many of their people had gone there to watch. "I know. I came here because Yi Xing came back. He took a group of people from Qingdi Mountain there. Tiantai won't cause too much trouble," said Ni Chen confidently. He didn't mind too much either. Since Qingdi Mountain went there, Tiantai won't dare cause trouble, I would guess, said the leader of Celestial Wen Castle to Emperor Ni Chen with a smile. However, at that moment, someone appeared in the distance. When that person saw Emperor Ni Chen, they were surprised and bowed to him. "Emperor Ni Chen." "No need to be polite," said Emperor Ni Chen affably. That person raised their head and looked to the sect leader, who said, "There is no harm in saying what one thinks." "Leader, we now know who Tiantai's people are. They are old friends," said that person. The sect leader looked surprised. "Old friends?" he repeated. "Leader, an obstinate and unruly young man appeared during the competition for the small worlds, and then Emperor Xinyu came and took him away. 3 years later, he came back and pretended to be a deployment spellcaster, remember?" "Lin Feng," said Wen Ao Feng first. The sect leader of Celestial Wen Castle didn't remember Lin Feng, but Wen Ao Feng did. Emperor Ni Chen remembered Lin Feng as well. He had lost face because of Lin Feng. Emperor Xinyu had provoked and humiliated him back then. They had also agreed to make their disciples battle at some point. The last time he had seen Lin Feng, people from Yaoyi Island had come and protected him. They had also humiliated him. Of course he remembered that. "So, how is it going?" asked the leader of Celestial Wen Castle. "Tiantai's cultivators don't have high cultivation levels. They are all young low-level emperors. Lin Feng said that they didn't have any stronger cultivators, but I don't know if it's true or not. I came back to inform you of these things, responded that person. He was only a messenger, influential groups all had them. Ao Feng, we have to go, said Emperor Nichin, smiling at when Ao Feng. Lin Feng was acting recklessly, he had dared come back. Yes, teacher, nodded when Ao Feng. Emperor Nichin gazed into the distance coldly. He hadn't seen Lin Feng for a few years, so Lin Feng had probably become a lot stronger. If he dared use a deployment spell against Wen Ao Feng, he would regret it. At the palace of the medicinal kings, Yi Xing had just arrived. He was known as one of Emperor Ni Chen's disciples. Yi Xing and those people are much stronger than the white-bearded emperor and his friends, thought the crowd quietly, studying the fighters. These people could pose a threat to Tiantai. Yi Xing and the others landed on the ground and looked around at all the corpses. Lin Feng had his foot on the white-bearded emperor's face. They looked at him icily. What a humiliation! Lin Feng, shouted Yi Xing. This was the young man Lin Feng had defeated back then. Pull your dirty foot away. Yi Xing demanded icily. Lin Feng slowly turned his head and looked at Yi Xing. Yi Xing was quite strong, and there were many medium-level emperors with him. He probably had a high position in Qingdi Mountain. Who are you talking to? Said Lin Feng, calmly yet disdainfully. Pull your dirty foot away. Yi Xing ordered again. He was getting furious. The white-bearded old man was his grandfather and Lin Feng had his foot on his face. He couldn't bear the humiliation. Slap him, Lin Feng said to Wu. Wu's eyes glittered with cold lights. He was angry at Lin Feng inside. This bastard kept giving him orders. But he had no choice for now. Someday, the situation would change. Wu looked at Yi Xing, his eyes sharp. A strong wind started blowing, and a golden crow illusion appeared behind Wu. It streaked across the sky like a shooting star, its speed terrifying to behold. Yi Xing looked at Wu's eyes. The icy energies which burned in Wu's eyes pierced through Yi Xing's pupils painfully. He jumped forwards, releasing qi. As he raised his hand, however, a strong wind brushed against him, cutting into his skin. Be careful, shouted some people behind him. Wu turned into a beam of light and returned to where he was initially with a single flap of his wings. Somewhere in the middle of his motion, a gigantic hand had crashed onto Yi Xing's face painfully, and his face went numb. That's the golden crow illusion, thought the crowd, staring at Wu. He was a terrifyingly fast animal cultivator. Sun supernatural bird, a three-legged golden crow. The crowd shivered. Yi Xing was a cultivator from Qingdi Mountain and had just been slapped. His cheeks burned with the humiliation of being seen. Lin Feng looked at him disdainfully and said nothing. He turned back to the white-bearded old man, his foot still on the elder's face. He drew his foot back and said, "Kneel down before all the cultivators of Tiantai and prostrate yourself 300 times. Only then will we not kill you. You are now the enemies of the palace of the medicinal kings and Qingdi Mountain. You must have a death wish," said the strong cultivator from the palace of the medicinal kings, icily releasing a terrifying QI. However, Lin Feng didn't pay them any heed, he just grabbed the desperate white-bearded emperor. Lin Feng smiled coldly and said, "Don't beg other people for help. Today, nobody can save you. Let him off, it's an order," demanded the strong cultivators from Qingdi Mountain. Lin Feng looked proud and arrogant, making them even more furious. They had even slapped Yi Xing, which was a humiliation for Qingdi Mountain. "Stop barking, little dog." Tiantai spat aggressively. "We are Qingdi Mountain's people," said a medium-level emperor icily. "You dare offend Qingdi Mountain?" "Lin Feng, is Qingdi Mountain a powerful group?" asked Tiantai doubtfully. Lin Feng turned his head, looking at Tiantai and the others, and smiled. "They think they're strong. That guy is crazy, he dares humiliate Qingdi Mountain," thought the crowd, caught between fear and delight. The strong cultivators from the palace of the medicinal kings and Qingdi Mountain were all around the Tiantai members and started releasing oppressive energies. The white-bearded emperor had hope, but Lin Feng only held him more firmly, and the old man shrieked. "Try if you dare," said a strong cultivator from the palace of the medicinal kings, releasing a powerful qi, which quickly surrounded Lin Feng. Wu, Jun Mo Shi, Qing Feng, Tantai, Qin Wu and the others finally moved and surrounded Lin Feng. A bunch of low-level emperors were now facing medium-level emperors. "If anyone dares come any closer, we'll kill you," said Lin Feng easily, as terrifying lights appeared. The strong cultivators from the palace of the medicinal kings and Qing Di Mountain would die if they continued getting closer. "Kill all the people from Tiantai, that's an order from Qing Di Mountain," shouted the strong cultivators of Qing Di Mountain, furiously releasing formidable qi as they charged ahead. A hurricane formed as all the energies clashed violently. Chapter 1822. Helping your disciple. This was Qing Di Mountain's territory. In case of danger, Qing Di Mountain was in charge of protecting the area. Tiantai hadn't only humiliated the palace of the medicinal kings, they had also humiliated Qing Di Mountain. Qing Di Mountain couldn't accept such humiliation. Many people were watching them. Qing Di Mountain had already given the order to kill all the cultivators from Tiantai. However, apart from the people who were already fighting, nobody else attacked. The other members of the 9 great celestial castles just watched. Tiantai's cultivators were crazy. Why would they want to face them? An order from Qing Di Mountain? When Lin Feng heard that, he said coldly, "From now on, this territory is beyond the control of Qing Di Mountain." Then he put his foot on the white-bearded emperor's face again and stomped on him, crushing his bones. The old man fell back to the ground. He was lying on the ground and staring up at Lin Feng, his eyes filled with painful memories. He remembered back then, when Emperor Yu was carrying Lin Feng on his back and begging him. He had humiliated Emperor Yu and made him kneel down. He had even stolen his treasures without giving him anything in return, telling them to leave. He hadn't even looked at the young man Emperor Yu was carrying on his back. However, that young man was now in front of him, stomping on his face. He had never thought such a thing would ever happen, especially this quickly. "Back then, you humiliated my teacher, you have to pay for that," said Lin Feng, putting his foot on the other man's face again. The white-bearded old man was wailing mournfully, and tears appeared in his eyes. He had practiced cultivation for such a long time, and now he was being humiliated. He was scared and sad. He looked miserable. Emperor Yu had knelt down in front of him as if Emperor Yu had been a dog, and now this had happened. Many medium-level emperors who were watching the scene felt sad for him. What a nightmare! It was better to be dead than having to go through that. The people from Celestial Qi Castle, Emperor Dong, Emperor Qi and so on, were dumbstruck. They couldn't believe it. Only a few years had passed, and the young man they used to chase everywhere had become so strong. Ho Qing Lin and Tian Qi were also incredible cultivators. Tiantai's direct disciples were extremely strong. They hadn't only amazed the small world, they were amazing in the great world too. Ho Qing Lin released reincarnation energies, Tian Qi released dazzling Buddha lights, Qing Feng released several sorts of cosmic energies, Wu was a strong beast releasing burning sun cosmic energies, Tantai and Qin Wu looked crazy, lions kept roaring, an ancient cauldron oppressed heaven and earth, Jun Mo Shi used hell skills. These cultivators were amazing. Where are they from? Wondered many people. These people were incredible fighters. Lin Feng raised his hand, a purple tank appeared and started vibrating. It contained seemingly endless immortal strength. However, it didn't fall down. Lin Feng continued waving his hand, and holy dazzling lights winked on. The energies became even more oppressive. "Brothers," shouted Lin Feng. Everybody looked at him, they understood what he meant. Ho Qing Lin and Tian Qi turned into a million illusions, they were everywhere in the sky. Tantai and Jun Mo Shi protected the area, lions and gloomy strength warding them. Qing Feng and Wu were there too, who would dare attack? "Go!" shouted a strong cultivator from Qing Di Mountain. When the others heard him shout, they took action too. Lin Feng's purple tank turned into a million's tanks, their aura pressing down on everyone. Immortal energy floated in the air as he released his wind power, further powering up his tanks. At the same time, Tiantai's people also released powerful energies. The scene was incredible. A river of reincarnation energies flowed through the air, millions of hands streaked across the sky, a bunch of lions ran in the sky. It's apocalyptic. The crowd was astonished, their hearts pounding at the sight. The immortal tanks looked terrifying, all sorts of strength was condensing in the air. A strong wind was brushing against those strong cultivators' bodies and corroding them. Cosmic strength dispersed, a soul shouted furiously. Surprisingly, many souls started leaving their bodies, but Tiantai's people wouldn't let them off. Ho Ching Lin's sword energies invaded the atmosphere and the souls fell down into reincarnation vortexes. Winning meant nothing anymore, this was a war. The white-bearded old man was even more desperate. The strong cultivators of Qingdi Mountain and the palace of the medicinal kings were getting crushed. Tiantai's people wanted to change everything in the 9 great celestial castles. Call all the leaders, the white-bearded old man tried to shout, but his voice wasn't loud at all. He hoped people would come and help. They couldn't do anything against Tiantai anymore. Tiantai's people are really strong. If the leaders of the 9 great celestial castles don't show up, they'll destroy the 9 great celestial castles, thought the Watchers. However, they were still wondering why Tiantai's people dared act like this. Even though they were really strong, they couldn't possibly take over the territory. After all, they couldn't fight against high-level emperors. And now they had even offended Qingdi Mountain. By the time Emperor Ni Chen and Wen Ao Feng finally arrived, the battle was already over. The strong cultivators of Qingdi Mountain and the palace of the medicinal kings were either dead or badly injured. Tiantai could kill them all if they wanted. At that moment, the people from Tiantai were on the ground. The white-bearded old man of the palace of the medicinal kings was on his knees again. That humiliation was horrible, being dead would have been better. He now understood what he had made Emperor Yu go through. Asshole. When Ni Chen landed, the strong cultivators of Qingdi Mountain who were still alive gathered next to him. Yixing said, "Teacher, we have to kill them. They killed almost all of our friends." Ni Chen was furious. He hadn't thought that the situation would be so tragic. Qingdi Mountain had lost many people. Of the 9 great celestial castles, Qingdi Mountain was the leader. For them, a bunch of young low-level emperors was important to their future. "Where are the cultivators of Yaoyi Island?" asked Emperor Ni Chen icily. "Yaoyi Island? You want to be like last time, when you looked as scared as a stray cur?" mocked Lin Feng. Ni Chen released his godly awareness. Indeed, there was nobody from Yaoyi Island present. He was surprised. "You're self-confident because of your deployment spells, it seems. I'll give you a chance though, fight against Ao Feng. If you win, I'll let you live. If you lose, everyone who contributed to killing the members of Qingdi Mountain will die." Ni Chen was in the sky, looking quite dignified. Of course, he thought Lin Feng had relied on deployment spells. Otherwise, how could a low-level emperor have killed so many strong cultivators? He was very strong, but his strength was limited. The opportunity Ni Chen gave to Lin Feng referred to his agreement with Emperor Xinyu. He knew perfectly well how strong Wen Ao Feng was. He could easily defeat medium-level emperors. "We will all die." Wu looked at him icily. A trivial high-level emperor dared talk to him like that? That old dude is acting recklessly. Wu was furious. Ni Chen looked at him icily. "You're from Yaoyi Island?" "Yaoyi Island?" Flames of fury burned in his eyes. He said icily, "Who do you think you are to talk to me? Piss off." Ni Chen was astonished. He was a high-level emperor of Qingdi Mountain, and a low-level emperor dared talk to him like this? He had never met a low-level emperor like this before. Lin Feng was just smiling and watching him. Ni Chen didn't know where Wu was from. A trivial high-level emperor dared talk to him like that? Even in vast celestial ancient city, great emperors didn't necessarily talk to Wu that way. Lin Feng walked forwards and slowly rose up in the air. He said to Ni Chen, "You little dog, you want me to fight against your disciple? You're really funny." The crowd didn't understand why Lin Feng acted that crazy. And Wu? How come he dared tell Ni Chen to piss off? Lin Feng even dared call Enai-chan a little dog. These young people were truly strange. When I came here, Uncle Shinyu reminded me of the agreement. I don't mind helping your disciple become stronger, said Lin Feng with a dark smile. Enai-chen and Wen Ao Feng were furious. Wen Ao Feng had the same level as Lin Feng, and Lin Feng dared say he was going to help him? The crowd was shaking with excitement. Was Lin Feng actually challenging Enai-chen? Since you want to die, I don't mind. You disrespectful little kid, I'll kill you, shouted Enai-chen, releasing ice-cold wind cosmic energy. Since I told you you could come and fight, there's no need to find excuses. Back then, when I was in Celestial Chi Castle, you, as a high-level emperor, blocked my way. You wanted me to cripple my own cultivation. How majestic! Back then, I was only a cultivator of the Zun Chi layer. A high-level emperor against a Zun cultivator? Lin Feng smiled mockingly. If Muyi hadn't helped him, Enai-chen would have killed him. Enai-chen said to the crowd icily, "Everyone, attack the assholes of Tiantai and kill them all. Don't let a single one escape." When the crowd heard Emperor Enai-chen, they all shivered. Enai-chen was furious. He wanted to kill all the members of Tiantai without exception. From now on, Tiantai controls the 9 great celestial castles. If anyone dares touch the disciples of Tiantai, I can guarantee you that I will destroy them, rebutted Lin Feng aggressively. The crowd was frozen with indecision. Would they dare attack? Those who had recently joined Tiantai looked angry. They felt like chess pieces. Those who recently joined Tiantai can leave now and Qingdi Mountain will consider they had nothing to do with that and we won't kill them, said Enai-chen, glancing at Tiantai's members. There were more than 100 people. They had to make a decision, to become Qingdi Mountain's enemies or not. But Lin Feng had proven that he was really strong. It made them feel even more motivated. Lin Feng was an inspiration for them. Someday, they'd be able to fight on his side. The problem was, what would happen if they became the enemies of Qingdi Mountain? Tiantai doesn't force anyone to stay. You can leave Tiantai if you wish. I don't mind, said Lin Feng calmly. Tiantai didn't imprison people. However, Lin Feng wouldn't let them come back if they left Tiantai. Lin Feng would even be merciless with them. Some people who weren't motivated and determined left the group. When some people saw that, they followed. After a short time, half of the would-be followers had left. After all, Qingdi Mountain controlled the region, and it had been that way for a very, very long time. They simply didn't dare go against them. Tiantai's people are strong. They have ancient scriptures, including great imperial scriptures. They also have incredible skills and techniques. If Tiantai manages to compete with Qingdi Mountain and I leave, I won't have the opportunity to come back, thought the ones who had remained behind bravely. They were gambling with their lives, but they trusted that young man in the sky. He was heroic and strong. They were convinced Tiantai wasn't going to be destroyed. Finally, after half of the new members of Tiantai left, Lin Feng glanced at the ones remaining calmly. He saw that nobody else and said, "Those who left today won't have the opportunity to come back. People who stayed will all obtain ancient high-level imperial weapons and imperial scriptures." The people who stayed looked delighted. Even Qingdi Mountain didn't offer high-level imperial weapons and scriptures to their people. The people who had just left Tiantai immediately regretted it. Had they just missed an incredible opportunity? Lin Feng had lots of imperial weapons and ancient scriptures. He had spent lots of time in vast celestial ancient city and the holy city. He had killed many people, and each time, he took their treasures. Concerning ancient scriptures, some people didn't need them, some people also just needed parts of them. "Are you deaf, people of the 9 great celestial castles?" shouted Enai-chen, icily glancing over the crowd. The last time Yaoyi Island's cultivators had come, they had humiliated him. Now, Lin Feng had built Tiantai in their territory and surprisingly, they weren't there. "Celestial Wen Castle will help Emperor Enai-chen," said someone in the distance. A group of strong cultivators from Celestial Wen Castle arrived. Lin Feng watched them arrive icily. Celestial Wen Castle used to control the Wen clan in the central part of Ba Huang. Celestial Wen Castle and the Wen clan always tried to be friends with everyone. However, when Ao Shui was a member of the Assassin Union, and Celestial Wen Castle now controlled the small world. Besides, Lin Feng had lived in Celestial Qi Castle and someone had tried to kill him there. Lin Feng had always had doubts and thought that it might be someone from Celestial Wen Castle. Lin Feng didn't understand them. Now, they were coming to help Qingdi Mountain. They were the first ones to help. They definitely gave Emperor Ni Chen face. The leader of Celestial Wen Castle had a reason to come out. A short time before, when Ao Feng had told him something important. The former great emperor of Qingdi Mountain had come back and was in Qingdi Mountain. According to Wen Ao Feng, he had already become a celestial emperor. Even if Yaoyi Island helped Lin Feng, he was still in danger. Two great emperors, of two generations, a great emperor and a celestial emperor, those two cultivators could make things change as they wished. That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.